does. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We're nothing more than dust. You search but you stay lost. Search but you stay lost. We're reaching for the stars. We're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show, 'cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. I need you again, so stick around. So stick around. world around us. They don't need to know. Come find me where the sun sets and say you'll never let me go. You're the one I want. Say you need me. Hide away right now. Don't let go. I know you feel the same. Say you need me. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. Broken love. Broken love. Broken love. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. They don't know how we love when we're lying close. With you, I know I belong. Without all eyes on us, you're the one I want. Say you need me. Hide away right now. Don't let go. I know you feel the same. Say you need me. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. Broken love. You'll always be my broken love. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. You'll always be my broken love. We are.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Hey, what's up?
Hey B Tim, can you hear me?
Hey, what's happening?
So I seen B Tim said hi, what's up, like in that back chat, and I can't click anything or it's gonna kick me. That's how I just got booted. I think it's
I
because
think it's just because you're not really familiar with StreamYard, but that's okay. You don't have to be. You can like if you want to do, you know what I mean? You don't have to worry about the chat while you're up here talking.
okay, cool.
So anyhow, okay. So basically, we're gonna this live. Oh, you guys already know. It says BTK killer's daughter Kerri takes her power back and investigates his murders. Is there more than 10? So he's actually it's in the news. It's like a big thing in the news right now. They actually found an underground tunnel by his house. Like, here, I'll pull this out. But anyhow, she's gonna run us, like, she's been doing a lot of research and stuff, and she was gonna fill us in with it. But they said on here, it says police discover hiding hole at BTK serial killer's former home, and this is what they found. So we're gonna go over that, but she was gonna give us kind of a little bit of a rundown first. So go ahead, girl.
Okay, so I can't see the chat, so you just stop me if needed. Okay, so to to jog everybody's memory.
With him, like, who is he? Dennett, you know what I mean? Kind of give us a rundown.
So we have. You want me to start?
I didn't mean to interrupt. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So we got Dennis Lynn Rader. He was born in March 9th, 1945. He's known as the Bind, Torture, Kill serial killer, BTK, which is a moniker that he gave himself, which usually in today's day and age, the media, the police, they kind of, name them. So that's different that he actually did name himself. He has 10 victims from Wichita, Park City, Kansas, and they range from 1974 all the way to 1991. And he wasn't arrested until 2005. So that's 30 years until they actually caught up with him. He's known for sending, taunting the police, the media. He would send victims' license, driver's license, their jewelry. He would send the Barbies. He used cereal boxes, just all types of stuff to feed his ego. He actually sent a letter to the police where he was saying, this happened in 1978. He said, how many people do I have to kill before I get my name in the paper or some national attention from the BTK Strangler? So like he's played a cat and mouse game from 74 all the way up until he was caught. And he's in the media again. And it just so happens that his daughter, Kerri Rawson, is the voice. And she's leading this investigation, not only working side by side with the investigators, but she's taking what she knows to Twitter, to social media, to some YouTube channels like News Nation, CNN, and the photos on the thumbnail, that is all this week. So we'll get to that, and we can talk about that with the colored pictures and his drawings from his journals. As of right now, there's 2 on the record, which is Cynthia Kinney and Shauna Garber. And there's possibly 5, but 2 are actually confirmed by the police that he is the prime suspect. So that's what we're going to talk about, guys.
Yeah, that's really good. And you know what? I think it's amazing because Kerri went through a lot, right? She's been through a lot.
So imagine, you're living your life. This is your dad. He takes you camping. He was his Boy Scout pack leader. He was the church president of Christ Lutheran. She has a brother, just a man. He was staff army sergeant when he was in the Air Force, just a regular guy. So she's 26 years old and she finds out with the feds knock on her door that her dad is admitting to being the BTK Strangler. Insane.
My understanding, she also was, even while he was confessing, she was still defending. She didn't even she was wondering what the hell he was confessing to. She was in disbelief that at the time that he was actually the BTK killer. I mean, so that was.
I believe at first she was in disbelief and in shock.
Yeah.
They didn't believe it until he said it. He confessed. He said it in the police interview that you can actually see, and that's the only part you can see where he says, yes, I am the BTK Strangler.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Gone Girl. Yeah, it's...
Have you seen anything, Tim, about what she's been doing?
I've seen a little bit here and there, and I read a couple of articles, basically. What was she doing recently? Maybe fill me in. Maybe I might have read it particularly.
Okay, so in 2005, when he was arrested, they went into hiding. The police did their best to kind of protect them. She was the one who brought to their attention Marianne Hedge. They weren't looking at him as a suspect. And she said, Mrs. Hedge, she was strangled when I was 6. He did it, didn't he? Like, she was the one who brought that to the police. It just dawned on her once she's realizing that this is her father and, she's putting it all together. So in 2018, she comes out and she writes a book, A Serial Killer's Daughter, because that's who she is. That's who she's known as. She says that she has trouble walking around and she can't look anybody in the eye. She walks around with her head down. The media or like the press, they do kind of go after them to an extent. So she puts this book out of what it was like being raised by him. And then it brings us to now, 2023. She is putting out a book about the survival, finding her voice, the strength of helping victims. She's in every type of trauma therapy, PTSD therapy. She has a good group of team around her that helps her. She takes mental breaks when needed. Right now, she's currently under a media blackout on Twitter. They shut her down from talking anything further about the case. And like with those barn photos that she put out.
Now, I remember I saw like a snippet where she basically talked about how she went on a camping like trip and he used the blanket she used was the same from a murder scene that he might have used in other things as well.
Yes. So we have Queen has the bondage photos, which we will show. And she has like a photographic memory. Basically, her IQ is in like the 140. So when she's looking at these crime scene photos, she's realizing that's my grandma's house where I played hide and go seek. I went camping. That's my dad's camping shovel. Well, he murdered a girl and got off on that blanket. And then he covered me up with it when I was cold. He integrated the jewelry, the items that he took back into his family. As a child, he taught her Stephen King. He taught her stranger danger. He taught her everything to do to protect herself from a man like him. Unknowingly, he would take her to crime scenes to fish where he would hunt. And now she has all these memories, which is helping her hightail this investigation. It's really commendable.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't he also dress up like one of the victims in a house and pretend kind of reenact in like his parents' house or something like that?
Yes, in his grandma's basement. So that's where one of the bondage photos is taken with the red blanket that you are talking about. It's from a crime scene. She didn't exactly say what murder or what victim.
Mm-hmm.
So he would throw himself what he called kill parties. He would reenact in between hunting if he, or after, and then he would dress himself up in the victim's lingerie, in their jewelry, and he would bind and tie himself like he did the victims. And when you're bringing up the shovel one and in the dirt, so that's at a lake that they would go camping all the time, and it's a sand dune. And he doesn't, out of the 10 victims confirmed and confessed, none of them were found in the ground. So do you think he's gonna like do that? And there's no known victim?
Yeah, and I think the reason why the daughter believes there's more is because when he did the hand signal, he did like 1, and then he just continuously did a circle for 0, and she's wondering if he meant only 1 circle 0 or more or something like that. Or
yes. So the governor actually, he had put out a no contact order. He's not allowed to talk to her. She hasn't seen or spoken to him since 2005. He continues, I guess, to write the mother today, his wife Paula. She doesn't speak to the media, nor does the brother. They don't have any communication with him.
Now, it's one of the because I saw they were talking about the artist, like his drawings, right? Is that was also that's leading them to believe that there's other victims as well because it matches another person? Because I noticed they were talking about the hand drawings he did recently, right?
He has over 200, around 200 of those bondage Polaroids. He has journals. He has pictures. He's obsessed with codes and puzzles, which is what he also taught Kerri, and they would play with like back and forth. So yes, there is a treasure trove of evidence that he wrote and kept himself.
Yeah.
which goes along with him taunting the media. It's the cat and the mouse game, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So some people believe, oh, if floppy disk got him caught, did he want to get caught at that point in time? And she says, no, his ego caught up to him. They lied to him and said they couldn't trace the floppy, because if he wanted to get caught, why would he leave all that evidence behind? Wouldn't you think he would destroy it?
Yeah.
So that is a good talking point. Some people, back and forth, they decide whether or not they think he wanted to get caught. And maybe at that point he just wanted the notoriety. I don't believe so. And he stated that he had another victim picked out and when he got arrested, and they actually went and told her. You can imagine that when they come up to you and say, hey, if we didn't catch this guy, you were next.
Well, I mean, most likely he was a coward and he didn't want to really get caught, probably. That's always the case. He probably was hoping to stay in freedom and keep it up, or very least not go to jail. To answer your question, B. Tim, yes, the drawings are possible victims. Yeah, I was watching this psychologist. He was like going through them, and he says that he uses his own face as inspiration in the drawings. And it's actually true that I've noticed that, for instance, that's done by a lot of artists as well. For instance, the Mona Lisa by Da Vinci. I think Da Vinci used his own face as kind of like a template when he was drawing the Mona Lisa. So it's kind of, so maybe because he's reliving them, he uses his own face, but uses certain other details.
He's obsessed with barns and silos. So as a child, he would play cowboys and Indians with his brothers and his friends as a little kid, and they would tie each other up, cowboys and Indians, playing around, fake guns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he figured out that he was getting aroused by it, and that's where the whole binding came into play. So even he's admitted as a little boy.
Let me see. Yeah. Have they gone through what type of evidence did they pull from this what they would call the hidey hole or something like that? Or
so he told them when he got arrested in 2005, and he admitted that it was him. And for once, the family got over the shock and awe that this is their father. They used them as a pawn. And they said, we're not going to go in and we're not going to tear up your house. We'll do the best to protect them from the media. We'll get them out of town. Tell us where your stuff is. Okay. Because we all seen what they did to Rex Heuermann's home, right? So instead of that happening to his house and his family going through that, he said, I have this hidey hole here underneath in my hallway, underneath the stairs. And there's a false bottom drawer. And go there, go here to my work, go here to the church, and you're going to find these things. And that's what they ended up doing. And then they went and they collected their evidence. So basically, when I was listening to Kerri, she's like, my dad is a very smart man. What if he had those certain things set up there, and knowing if he's going to get caught, he can tell them A, B, and C. And that's it. Just in April 2023, what has got this going in the news is they just dug up his yard and they found pantyhose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, why would he not want to admit? This guy seems like he's someone who wants to be more famous. He wants to be more famous. Why would he not admit to more murders?
He's anti-death penalty. He is strictly against it. And at the time, Kansas did not have the death penalty. So let me go back to my first little paper.
So
he got 10 consecutive life terms. There was no death penalty at the time. The murder that they're looking at right now, Cynthia Kidney and Shauna Garber, they are.
Wait. I just want to ask. Sydney Kinney was the one with the laundromat, right? The cheerleader that went missing while she was at the laundromat, right?
Yes.
And what was
so that is what got this rolling.
And the second one, where was that person?
Her name is Shauna Garber. So she's Missouri, and Cynthia Kinney is Oklahoma. These are both death penalty states. Catherine Ramslam, his daughter, the police detectives, they all stated he doesn't want to die. He's 78 years old right now in a wheelchair. She said he went from 5'7" to 5'2". and he's whittling away. She said it's like the evil inside of him. The evil inside is coming out, and it's just like tearing. You know, you can see the darkness is taking over his body.
Yeah, he has like he's in a wheelchair and has no teeth, right, or something like that.
Yes, and she said that if it was up to her, the Garber, she feels that there is enough that they have to go and ramshack his cell in the middle of the night and take his ass, wheel him out of there, and take him to Missouri. And take the power back, which if we watch the video with the Osage County Sheriff when he pulls out the pantyhose, so that's a complete power play. So what they're doing is they're saying that we're taking the control back instead of like playing the chess game back and forth. And your daughter is really leading the charge here.
Interesting. And he must fucking hate that. You know, he must hate the fact that the power that, you know, he likes to have control over others is now being taken away from him, type of deal.
He's gone silent. He hasn't spoken since they dug up his yard. So what Queen just had, do you want me to talk a little bit about the Cynthia Kinney and the Garber, which is what kickstarted this again?
I think Queen would like that. I'm not sure. Queen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm putting pictures up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's Cynthia there. Good job, Queen. So the sheriff of Osage County, imagine this. He's just chilling in his house. He's watching a Crime Stopper show, Catching Killers, and it's about BTK. And he just so happens to see, there are some similarities with the Cynthia Kinney murder, because that was a cold case. She was kidnapped in 1976, but in 2007 he actually went back and he looked at it. So he's watching this thinking, well, he works for ADT. She was kidnapped from a laundromat. There's like multiple similarities. So he decides he's going to go and he's going to visit him at the prison. He's not going to tell him what case he's actually working on. He's going to tell him where he's from and that he's just seeing where he was around 1976. And then that's when they find out that he has the journal writing about the laundromat and his wash girl fantasy, which he claims he never got to fulfill. So
didn't the journal say like bad laundry day or something like that? I'm trying to remember.
I'm gonna read it to you.
Yeah. There was some sort of laundromat, something.
I got it, Queen. Here, let me just. Okay. It says PJ. PJ is what he refers to as all his victims, their projects. So PJ, 1976, bad wash day. He writes in his journal, at back entrance of the house off 17th. Had problem getting in or too much noise factor. The brunette was the target. I would watch the nearby laundromat for possible victims. Laundromats were a good place to watch victims and dream. Sometimes I'd have on a pair of women's underwear, and after watching a girl or a lady, I would relieve myself in the bathroom with masturbation thoughts. So that's his journal entry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, you were saying he liked to like dress up and replay like the
he relives his crimes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I thought that was really fucking disturbing.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah,
Rowena, I wanted to tell you, they said you're doing great, and Rowena left a super chat, and she said, "Just Samantha, thank you so much for doing this."
Oh, I'm surprised you don't hear my heart beating. Thank you.
I was going to say you're doing great, though. I know you're nervous, but you know what? I thought it was awesome that when you came to me and said that you really, you were going to work on this, and I was like, you know what? This is awesome. I've had a few other subscribers come to me. They don't have their own channels, but they like certain cases. They really enjoy certain cases. And I thought this was really cool. Oh, here, do you want to play this? Do you want to play this part with her?
Yeah, I'll take a breath. Go ahead. Play what you have. This is Kerri.
Yeah, that way you can kind of take a breather because you're doing great.
You're very knowledgeable. You're very knowledgeable. You know this, and you know this case pretty well. So
can I just talk about Kerri real quick?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, baby.
Can I just say a couple things about Kerri?
Oh, absolutely, girl. Go, yeah.
Okay, so
it's like your show. Do whatever you want to do. You're doing great.
So I think that his daughter is so brave and so strong. And if you're a victim of any kind of trauma or any childhood thing or know somebody, when we talk about tragedy pimps and we talk about what is true crime, when you listen to her speak, it's so powerful. And knowing that this is her father, she like, you're going to walk away once you like watch like full interviews, and you can feel it. You like, she inspires you. If only you had a little bit of that strength. And she gets attacked by trolls. She's had people, she's had to contact the FBI because she's gotten messages that say that they would love to rape and kill her because she looks so much like her father. They attack her on her looks, and a lot of people are upset about this. And she doesn't have to be doing this. She is not paid for it. She is a private investigator, victims advocate who helps other families. And but she's not commissioned on this case with her father, because then he can he could take the what do you call it, Tim? He won't have to talk.
Immunity?
No, he'll
Well, he
he
can plead
doesn't.
the fifth and stuff too because it's his family. You know what I mean? He don't have to. He won't have
They
to. Say
can Mirandarize him.
Okay.
So she's not fully commissioned, but she's just doing this out of the goodness of her heart, wondering, is there more? And to look back at those and to give those families justice. And
Well,
I mean,
maybe,
I think
hold
it's
on.
admirable.
Yeah.
When they Mirandize you, they read you your rights, your Miranda rights. So I don't think that would be it. But
No, that's it. Because if she's commissioned for her to go and question him, they would have to read him the rights, and they don't want that. They want him to talk freely with her.
Yeah, so basically they don't, she
they
once
don't
he
want to
confesses,
Mirandize him for her to speak, for them to like talk mom or like father and daughter kind of thing.
Yeah, because let's say he confesses, says, yeah, I killed that so, and this is where their address. They couldn't really, and if what she's saying, if they did what they did, she would have to do, and they didn't Mirandize him, and that kind of would be, they couldn't use that. Is that my understanding? What you're saying?
Yes, because she is really an investigator, but she's not like I said, she's not commissioned on this actual case, or else he can take that.
Okay.
All right, let's hear what she says. Let's play it, Queen.
All right.
And so he absolutely loves the attention.
That's Kerri Rawson talking about.
As I say, I'll we'll go, because I think that's just a little piece of it. But she was talking about he loves the attention and stuff. Here, I'll rewind, see if this is.
And hopefully that happens. All right, we've got a lot more to get to. Up next.
The think tank joins us as we take a closer look at the evidence and potential new cases against BTK.
I'm gonna go try to find his daughter's interview, like just with his daughter, or just
check
like
the News Nation. There's little clips with Ashley Banfield. So,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ramble while you look. I was gonna talk to B. Tim, see if he knew about the first murder and how it was a family of 4.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's not,
No, and I didn't know his first kill was a child.
Yeah,
either.
so it was 2 kids, Joseph Otaro, Josephina Otaro, and then the mother was Julia Otaro and Joseph Otaro. I believe he killed the father first, and then the son, and then took the girl to the basement. Am I correct? And I don't know if she was the 3rd victim or the 4th. I think.
Yeah, little Josephine, the 11-year-old, that was his real target, which I don't think too many people remember.
Yes,
that it was a child.
And he reenacted that same scene of himself in the basement of his parents while he was dressed up.
His parents were out of the town. Were out of town a lot. They would snowbirds, they call it, where you live, where it's
Florida.
when winter comes, you go south.
Yeah. But he wasn't expecting. My understanding was he wasn't expecting it to be that many. It was kind of like a tobacco. Didn't he say say he was like an escaped prisoner or something like that to try to lower their guard when he binded them?
Yeah. So
he said the surviving brothers interview is so sad.
The surviving brothers, Kevin Bright, right?
Yes, that is for Catherine Bright. That is the second murder. He shot the brother twice. He was able to escape, but he wasn't able to He was hiding for hours for her to come home, and he didn't anticipate that the brother was going to be there with him.
Yeah.
Or with her.
Yeah.
So his ruse, what you're saying about lying. So the majority of the time he would wait inside a home, and then he would say that he was a wanted man. In the Arturo murders, for instance, he said he was a wanted man.
In the closets, right? Like in the
Yeah, he would
closet.
hide in the closets or come in the back doors. So he was a wanted man from California. He'd order them to lie on the living room floor at gunpoint, and then he led the family into a bedroom and tied them up with the rope. Well, he would say that he was a wanted man and that he needed their car and he needed their money, and he was going to tie them up. And then once he tied them up, then that's when the shit hit the fan. And he's like, I got a sexual fantasy problem and I'm going to do this to you. And bags went over the heads and belts went around, and it's over.
Yeah, so basically he gave them hope, and then he did the sadist thing where he kind of told them, like, just to see the reaction, basically.
Yes, he's a pathological liar. He's a psychopath. He's a sexual sadist.
Yeah. Yeah. So his real target, I didn't know that Josephine was actually his target, but yeah.
11 years old, little Josephine.
Yeah, and to let people know, he never
sick fuck too. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't, men that go after children, especially like little girls.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't rape. Is that where you're getting at? The R word?
Yeah, he basically just ties them up and then pleasures himself on other things. Let's just say.
And allegedly, he's really proud of that. That he states that he's never done that, and it's like some weird moral code ethics that he has. But the one thing is that this Shauna Garber that they are investigating in looking into now, she was. So the whole other MO fits except for that. And we don't know the other victims, how many others could be out there. So is he really just lying about
more
that?
than 10? That's where that came from.
Yeah.
Is there more than 10?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to see, because there could be a lot more. Because it seems like he's been kind of doing this for a while. I mean, like all his life, basically.
Well, let's see here. Where's my list? So we have.
Well, I could tell you, like, I believe the 4 victims were in 1974, the family. Then you had another event, which was April 4th, 1974, with Kevin Bright. Then you had March 17th, 1977, with Shirley Vang, if I'm pronouncing Viang. And then you had Nancy Fox, age 25, murdered in December 8th, 1977. You have Maureen Hedge, 53, murdered in April 27th, 1985. You have Vicky I'm sorry if I missed Vicky. How would you pronounce her name? Vicky's last
We've
name.
been saying Weggerly.
Weggerly.
So is this are these the Oterios, right? Joseph Oterio, Julia, Josephine.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Here. You know what? Here, Queen. Let me just put this in the back chat, and this is going to probably help you out with the summary. Here is the BK, and if you go there, it actually will show you a list of the names of the people for the 10 victims, and you can get a general picture of them.
So he's got 2 kills in 74, 2 kills in 77, 85, 86, and 91. And then he allegedly just stops. What do you think?
I don't think he stopped, honestly. But
and they said they're looking for. They are actually saying that he is. They're actually saying that he's guilty, not guilty. That he's possibly involved in these other murders too, as well.
Yeah.
Yes, the barn photos, the colored pictures that you put on the thumbnail, which is what Kerri released on Twitter, and it's amazing. All of these true crime sleuths are coming together. They're looking at them. She's asking for help from anybody. With these are from 1963 to 2005, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. Any old barns and silos that looked familiar, or those girls' faces. He was obsessed. One of the girls, the girl in the green dress, they actually have a name. It's not being made public yet. But that's all like the last 5 days. Like that is like brand new news.
Yeah. Man. Look at those faces, man.
the Nancy Fox murder in 77. That one he calls and he brags about, and he says how that was his perfect murder.
Because she was single, she had 2 jobs, and she basically she was living alone, worked 2 jobs, and he just like noticed her, and he went in there.
He cooperated. She didn't fight him at all.
And he also called the cops the next day and reported the murder, and they actually played the recording for the daughter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and then they released that phone call. So that happened in 77, and they waited until 1979, and they released the phone call of him talking, well, his voice to the public, because that's when they came out and they were like really asking the public for help.
Yeah.
He would send poems.
When he was taunting the police, when he was taunting them and sending them shit, didn't you say something about he asked them about a floppy disk and they lied to him and he sent them one and didn't he get caught like that or something? Or?
So that's the end. So in 2004, so his last kill, well, that he claimed was in 77, Nancy Fox, okay? And then he goes quiet. He does a poem about a victim that he wanted to kill in 79 that got away, right? They don't hear anything from him, nothing. In 2004, the Wichita Eagle, they run a 30-year anniversary special about how BTK terrorized their town. And what do you know? That brought him out of hiding. And he reached out to police and his codes and his puzzles and cereal boxes and Home Depot, dropping all these clues. Started all over again between.
Do you think when they did that they were luring him out, that they knew he would do that like a cat mouse game? Do you think they were luring him back out to see?
I don't know. That's one I really haven't thought about.
Well, I mean, someone
asked. I wonder if they weren't doing that to lure him back out to see if he, like the 30-year special, to see if he would come back out and engage with them, or.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they stated that they were speculating that he was like dead. He was in jail, or he was just like too old at that point, like an old man, who wasn't killing anymore.
So they attacked his pride, basically. He says, "Oh, you're too weak, and that probably made him come out." Yeah.
Yeah, his ego is what ended up getting him caught in the end with that whole floppy disk situation, like Queen said. So that is at the very end. And what ended up happening is after the back and forth and sending things to the newspapers and whatnot, in 2005, Rader attempted to leave a cereal box in the bed of a pickup truck at Home Depot. The guy who drives the truck, he doesn't know what he has in the back of his truck. So then Rader ends up reaching out to the newspaper who contacted the police. And he's like, "Hey, I left that Brady, that's that box. Did you get it?" Like, he wants that confirmation. He needs that. Feed him. And they ended up going and looking back at the surveillance camera. And so then they were able to, they couldn't really see him. It's a grainy photo. It's 2005, but they seen a Jeep Cherokee that was leaving where he said was the pickup area. So once they had that, and then they went back and forth with confirmation where he asked in letters to police if he could put his writings on a floppy disk and if it could be traced or not. That was in the Wichita Eagle. So on February 16, 2005, Rader sent I gotta move my paper. Mm-hmm. Rader sent a purple 1.44 megabyte Memorex floppy disk to Fox affiliate in TV in Wichita. Enclosed was a letter, a gold-colored necklace with a large medallion, and a photocopy cover of Rules of Prey, a 1989 novel by John Stanford about serial killers. Within the metadata embedded was a deleted Microsoft Word document unknown to Rader, still stored on the floppy disk. The metadata contained the words Christ Lutheran Church, and the document was marked as last modified by Dennis. So then they do an internet search, and they see that Dennis Rader is the Christ Lutheran president over at that church. They drive by his house. What do they see? He drives that Jeep Cherokee. And then the investigation is on.
Metadata will always get you, that's for sure. That will definitely.
And he asked the police, "Can you trace it?" And they told him no. So one of the first things I told Queen this earlier, where when they picked him up and they took him downtown, I have it exactly written down somewhere. They said something along the lines of, Mr. Rader, do you know what we're picking you up for? And he said that he had some suspicions. And then when they got him into questioning, he was very upset about that floppy disk. And he kept saying, why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me? Like his scout's honor counted at that point, you know?
I would have said, why, you know what I mean? Well, why did you reuse a disc from your church? Well, because you're a fucking idiot. So that's what I would probably have told him. So, you know, you're an idiot. You deserve to be a lot of things. Let's just say that much. But I won't say it in this live stream. But yeah. So he was just pissed off that he got caught and that he was lied to. Meanwhile, he lied to all his victims that he was going to let them live, but instead murdered them. And he's worried about the police lying to him.
Yeah, and his use of strangling was like the bag over the head, where Mrs. Otero and Mr. Otero, he thought that they were dead. He put the bag over their head to with the belt and like suffocate, strangle them. And each time they came back alive. And Mrs. Otero, he was going to strangle Joey. And she started screaming, my boy, what are you doing? You're killing my son. And then he just, what he calls, put him down. So then he killed her and then, you know, killed Joey. And then he went to the little girl in the basement.
Yeah, he basically dehumanized her by putting him in that sense. But also, if you notice, like the drawings, like I saw the psychologist, and he pointed out that he drew like the items around them in color, but kind of like had them as bland, kind of like not really putting too much details into them. And it's kind of, my thoughts was that he just sees them not important in the fantasy. It's just that they're just items to him to fill his fantasy or something like that. Yeah, he's not a great guy. He's a piece of shit. And yes, volcanoes for that gentleman. But unfortunately, I would like to find out. I'm kind of torn. I would like to get him to the death sentence, but I would like to find out who he's, you know, the other people, the other families who else he's destroyed, hurt them, and find out, like, you know, killed and get some sort of closure for those families. You know, that's what I'm kind of. So.
When I approached my my boyfriend with the story, and he was saying that in a way he feels like, so he's already locked away, he can't hurt anybody anymore, and there's victims today that are missing and to be saved. Should we really be spending the taxpayers' money to look into all of these cold cases that I don't want to say gone or forgotten? But that was like how
I would say to your boyfriend is that him being in jail is the worst punishment of all. Like, death is basically giving him power, and right now removing because he's all about power. My thought, like looking into him a little bit, and removing every bit about his power when he sleeps, when he shits, when he eats, when he can do anything, and removing all that power from him must fucking be torture to a control freak like that. So maybe this is an appropriate punishment. Maybe just being locked away, slowly rotting away, while the world slowly, you know, and having every facet of your life being taken over, and removing all possible things of your freedom, you know. So maybe that's what I would say, you know.
Well, he's been sitting in what he calls his cave. They built a shower there. He doesn't have to leave. He has contact with, like, he cannot have any access to the internet, but baby, can you pause that? All right, I'll come back. Sorry, I didn't know he was here. So he does have contact. Fans write him all the time. He has a cable and contact, like, with basic, he can watch the basic news and things like that. Kerri did say that a lot of the media respectfully will not deal with him anymore, and that makes her happy. But he still does have some that he reaches out to, like Dr. Ramsland. And as far as what you're saying, like making him uncomfortable, she was saying that, she said, Dad, is there anything that we could do for you, when she's visiting him? And he complained about one of the radiators in his cell. It blows cold air, and he doesn't like it. So she actually said that if he doesn't start complying and giving them answers, just turn it up, freeze him out. She don't care, you know. It's her father, but when it comes to BTK, she wants justice.
It's funny you mentioned Ramsland, because that's the same person that taught Brian Kohlberger as well. So it's interesting. The doctor.
Yeah, for him to, or for her to get access to him, she had to play his game.
Yeah.
So for months before, she had to do codes and puzzles, and she had to figure them out. and then only would he talk to her.
Oh wow, he wouldn't talk to her before that.
No, he had to make sure that it's a game, you know, the cat and the mouse.
Wow. Yeah, she's talking about the numbers that are circled in these, that he would put numbers and letters and certain numbers and certain letters in places, and that she would have to find them.
Yeah, I was telling you, it's God, it's so brave when you hear Kerri speak. She said that, how I said, her dad is the darkness and she is the light, and her dad trained her to catch him. It's just powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you want to show I didn't see what you're showing. So this photo actually was one that was posted on Kerri's Twitter, and then people sent in information, and they actually think that you're looking down at her. So that's a second floor hay bale barn where there's like it's a hay barn with a hay loft.
Mm-hmm. Well, the guy pointed out that besides the whole facial structures might be like him kind of like using himself, like his own facial face as inspiration for the drawing. He pointed out like the hair being split in the middle, and it might be a sign of identification of the person. What do you think of that? Like, what do you think of this photo?
Well, there's images on the other photos where they're actually using AI. Your favorite beats him. They're using AI to I don't know how they're working it, but I sent some of the photos are in Discord where they have like blonde hair. They just give them color and whatnot.
Yeah.
But again, this is regular people. This is a regular person. Once Kerri put the photo out, it's regular people on Twitter, and she's encouraging everybody out there, if you want to like do crime sleuthing, open up Discords, open up Facebooks, pick a cold case. This year, is if it has the bind, torture, kill. What's very important is around her kneecaps on this photo.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, go ahead, scroll up. Queen, can you scroll up a little? Oh, okay. So on the legs there, on her kneecaps, there will be a clamp, and then there'll be two types of bindings with the tube socks. So that is like one of his known signatures.
Jeez.
Those are codes, like how he leaves little symbols and prints in all of his drawings. And they have all of these drawings, all of these journals, all of these Polaroids. It was never put into a database. They basically put it in a cardboard box, put tape over it. He confessed to 10. We got him, and they put it in the basement and forgot about it.
I forgot about there's maybe other people that, he's murdered and could get closure for these families. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think she's doing a good thing. I mean, this is pretty tough. I mean, like, it would be a lot easier for her to just run away from this and but she's trying to.
So this is her Twitter. I'm on her Twitter and going through like all her pictures or whatever that she's got up.
Yeah.
So this is like a closer up one that you were talking about, baby.
Yep, that's showing the signature. That is very important. That's like on, I guess, the majority of his victims. That's one of his known prominent signatures.
Wow.
Do you want to show the bondage photos, Queen?
Yeah, what you said they were on here. They're on here, right? Is that what you're talking about? These or
what are you talking about?
Oh no, those are the barn. I was talking about the graphic ones, the bondage ones of him reenacting his crime scenes. Do a little shock and awe with the chat.
Might not want to show that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I was saying my phone died as I was getting ready to upload them, but I can. I can upload them. That's fine. I just thought they were on here, so because my phone died, I was going to pull them from here. I thought they were on this. I thought she had them posted too.
No, this is the latest information. So these are what she put out to the public to help. And then if she likes some things, then she shares them.
Do you
click that one, that face.
Yeah, I could toss you an article that talks about it as well. Are you talking about him dressed up in a dress, Queen? Do you want that one?
Yeah, he's like dressed in like he's like reenacting the crime scenes.
Yeah, it's from Oxygen. It's from Oxygen.
Oh, your link is, you mean?
Yeah, it's from the Oxygen True Crime channel. And if you scroll down, it shows multiple photos of what appears to be.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Matter of fact, so I don't even have to go get them because there they are. Yep, this is it. So anyhow, yeah, he was a fucking freak. To me, that's some freak shit to me. I don't give a fuck. Call me kink shaming or whatever the fuck you want to say, but I can't with this bullshit right here.
Yeah.
That's a
So
fucking
that's a kill party. That's a kill party at a motel. That's after you know, one of the victims, he's celebrating. So he always reenacts what happened, and then with the tape over the mouth and their an article of clothing, the panties, the shirts, the slips. He always takes something. Can you imagine your housekeeping and you're knocking on the door at the hotel like, "Hey, Mr. Raider, do you need any ice?" And he's in there like that.
It gets worse, Kate. There's worse photos on this article. There's more photos, actually, Queen. If you scroll down.
Oh, I know, baby. I know.
You're putting down a trigger.
I had to put that trigger warning out there just so you guys have a trigger warning. This is the only one and only time I'm going to give you one because we're all adults here. This is evidence.
Does chat know that, guys? Because I can't see it. That he these photos was himself reenacting these victims in the crime scenes. Were they aware of that?
Probably.
No, we're telling them right now. They are like, wow, the letters and everything is so creepy. Yeah, this is him actually dressed up in looks like a bra or bathing suit type top.
And a mask.
Yeah, and a mask and all kinds of stuff like this. Yeah, they get way worse.
Is the one of him hanging himself from the tree there?
It has all the photos on there.
Yeah, it's got all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I made sure to get I was looking at this because I read it in a article about him dressing up. I was like, what? I didn't know he dressed up in a dress to reenact.
Yes, he dressed up like, and he dressed up like his victims. Like, you know what I mean? He tried to reenact it or whatever. I don't know what he was doing, but
the crazy thing is how he's wearing the mask here, because I don't know how he was developing these Polaroids, but when he was actually his 10 victims and he was going into their house, hiding in the closet, and then, you know, murdering and killing them, he never did wear a mask. He never protected his face.
Well, why would he if he's going to kill him, you know?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
The only way you would protect your face or give a fuck about it is if somebody was going to live and tell on you.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So when Kerri looks at these photos, she sees that tree is a sycamore. I remember her saying that. And like how when we get to the shovel and the other ones, she's looking at these and she's seeing clues, and it's striking her memory to where she was as a child and where he took her, which is what's going to help their FBI, or not the FBI, her team, Osage County. They're actually driving her around. They're driving her around to known areas where they think that he might have been, and they see how she feels. She even talked about possibly getting hypnotized.
Oh, wow. To see if she could help.
Yeah, so I told you, Queen, when we talked earlier, the 22-year-old Shauna Garber, that's one of the two that they're really swearing in on now. That was in the county, Missouri. So before the night before she went to see him, Dennis, her father, in jail, they took her to. Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead, baby. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought I was me. I'm sorry.
Well, they took her to the area of where Garber was found, and she said in an interview that she's outside walking around and she goes like over to the left and she feels fine, and for some reason she goes over to the right and she starts violently throwing up, and she had to talk about that in therapy because she has PTSD and she's a trauma survivor. So not only does she have the photographic memory to an extent and the visual learning, she's having physical reactions, knowing that her dad took her here when she was 6 to go fishing and gut this fish, and he used that knife on his victims.
Yeah.
So that's what she's dealing with, all that.
Yeah.
So this is the one that's in the grandma's basement, in the grandparents' basement.
This is the reenactment of the 11-year-old, right? That's what he was trying to do. This one.
I'm not exactly sure on that, so I don't want to say. I mean, I believe you if you say it, but behind that green tarp is where the stairs are. And
Yep.
she says that they would play hide and go seek all the time in the basement there.
Holy
But
fuck.
look, doesn't this look similar to this girl right here?
Well,
So
if you focus, I saw the psychologist who was going through this, and he said focus on like the middle. You see like the middle where it looks like C's in the middle.
Yeah, the blonde hair.
what I'm saying is, though, look at the way the bondage is around the legs. You see it?
That's one of his signatures. That's what they
Right.
want people to pay attention to for the cold cases.
So if you look at this picture right here of this girl and you look at the bondage on her legs, it looks similar to the bondage that he's got on his legs with the short dress.
But if you look at the middle, you know, like the embroidery in the middle, if you go close, that guy pointed out that those look like possible, they're like C's or something like that. Or it could be just scribbling lines, but you never know
What?
with these
I
things.
don't see a C in this picture. Where am I missing?
No,
it?
if you close up like in the middle of the chest area where like there's like scribbling there, you
Up here at the top, like where the black two things are at.
No, like you see on her chest there on the green.
Oh, you're talking about the picture. Why am I on this other picture? I'm sorry. I'm looking at this one right here. Why? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about the picture of the green
This
dress
one here.
picture. Yeah,
This
and if
one
you
here. Yeah, okay.
and if you zoom into the middle of the chest area, the guy was talking about how it could be like a C, like
Oh,
it looked
God.
good, but he wasn't sure.
On
if it was
this
that.
photo here, she's called Barn Girl, green dress on the hay bale. So this is believed to be one of his victims out of Osage County, Oklahoma. They think they have a name on her. She could be a girl who went missing in Southeast Kansas in 1991. They have not made her name public. Now this drawing is in a barn sitting on a halo. They think those could be pipes behind it, which is where those barns and the halos come into play, and like those being one of his favorite places. So if they're saying last seen name not made public, so they might know who she is, they just don't know where her body is.
Mhm.
And that back one that you were talking about in the basement, I think this is the one with the red blanket that he's standing on. That's the one that he took camping with them, and when Kerri was cold, he covered her up with it. The blanket that he's standing on.
Okay, Jones. Jones says, if you see the Ontario girl victim, she's bound at the legs and hung. I think that's the one he was reenacting in the last photo. That's why I was saying. That's why I thought that was the possible. And this is him pretending to be buried.
Yes. So this is from Lake Cheney, where they would go camping all the time. And there's a photo where it shows the shovel, and Kerri recognizes the shovel. And it's good to note that out of his 10 victims, none of them are burial victims. So why is he reenacting this?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to go through all that?
He killed another girl or another person and doesn't want to say it, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, there's two ways. It could be one, it could be that he actually, I mean, this is just a thought. Like sometimes killers don't want to actually admit to a crime because they're ashamed of it. So maybe he did something that he's ashamed of and he doesn't want to reveal it. You know what I mean?
You hit the nail on the head, Tim. They said that one of the reasons why he will not say that he killed them and confessed to other victims is because he's embarrassed. The crime didn't go the way that he wanted to. Something went wrong, and he doesn't want that to be on his repertoire, on his resume of his kills, like how Nancy Fox is his perfect murder. So if he made mistakes, you know, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to be connected to it.
Yeah, well, the cocktail, he would reenact because his whole thing is just the fantasy. He didn't, it was the fantasy of committing the acts. You know what I mean? So anything to help reenact the fantasy he would do, basically. I mean, I'm sure that's what that's what he does. I feel like he was finding what worked for this and what satisfied him. Yeah, I probably, Jones, and that's how usually serial killers at first they fuck up and then they slowly get better and better. And that's usually the case scenario. Oh my God. Ange Carter says, OMG, we've been in Cheney Lake camping. Well, good thing I didn't know about all this crazy shit.
Is there anybody in the chat who is from Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma? Anybody older who grew up around the time periods that this was happening?
Oh, by the way, and I'll wait for someone to type in the chat for that. Paula Dietz is still alive, I think, right? She's 75 years old, so she's fine. She's fine.
This I believe is right when she starts talking about him reenacting some of his things.
Yeah,
so
let's listen to this.
All right, I'm gonna mute. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine. Take a breather, get a drink, smoke a cig, something. You're doing great. You're doing great. I can tell you're a little nervous, but you're still doing great.
Yeah, you're doing fantastic.
On her crime scene right after, and there's a blanket that's been unrecorded that was missing. Garber is missing the blanket. In the bondage photo, there is a blanket that could match. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Dad reincorporated crime scene victims' blankets and materials back into my family, and we used that blanket to camp out. I slept on a blanket that my dad possibly murdered a woman on and off on.
It's sort of, I would say, next to impossible to process that. I don't know how she's doing it. I can't imagine, even 18 years later, what it is like for her to process this and see these pictures again, because again, these pictures are making news today. The investigators are looking at them, second looks at all of these pictures, because there may be clues in there that pertain to these cold cases. There are five of these cases they think actually might connect to him. 2 he's the prime suspect in, right? 2 of them, Cynthia Kinney and Shauna Garber. You just heard his daughter talking about Shauna Garber. But here is what Kerri said in the podcast. Again, it's called the Surviving the Survivor podcast. Here is what she said when she visited her father and she asked him if he had actually killed more than 10 people. Here's how she put it to the podcast. Take a look.
I go, is there more than 10, Dad? And he goes, it's 10. And he holds up a finger. He's right-handed. And he goes, he's in cuffs, guys. Okay. So he's in cuffs. He's like this little old man. He's in cuffs. He goes, it's 10. Now show me how would you guys do 10? How would you guys do 10? Like this, right? And you would hold this, right? Or you maybe would do that. Are you going to be moving that 0? No, because it's a solid 10. I go, is it 10, Dad? And he goes, 10. And he rolls that 0. And I don't think because there's no cameras, right? And he says it silently and he goes, and now I'm thinking, good God, man, how many times are you rolling that 0? Because I think you're trying to tell me it's more than 10 and you don't want it on audio.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Yeah, I always feel like that part of the end of that video is always out of place when you do it. And when, you just heard this lady talk about her father possibly murdering more than 10 people. And then she says, basically, subscribe and watch us. Not a good time. Not a good time for a hit the like button concept.
She goes back and forth with Banfield and Jennifer Coffendorfer, which I appreciate. If she doesn't agree with something that they say or they state, she's not one to bite her tongue.
That's true. That's true.
And she said on record.
Well, I think I just want to say this. I don't think it's 100. I think what I'm thinking is that what has 2 zeros in it? 8. So could it be 18? Could it be something like
30 years?
Yeah. Could it be 18 victims instead of 10? And we just don't know. I mean, that's what I was thinking when he did the multiple zeros type of deal. I'm thinking it's like an 8, but that's just a tinfoil hat theory. But
I was thinking like 30, 40, at least 30.
Why do you think it's 30? That seems
roll in the circle. How she showed he, instead of doing a solid circle, he rolled it So like 10, 20. Good God, Dad, how many times are you rolling that circle?
Yeah, either way, I mean, there's a lot more people that there's a suspicion. I mean, because he was just like people don't realize he was just random. He would just, what they call trolling. I don't know if there was a different meaning back then. That's what the article says. But basically, patrolling around, looking around, and you just randomly pick a victim off the streets. So,
No,
yeah,
he would stalk. He would stalk them. The one of the victims here, he stalked for 2 months before he made his move. That might have been Catherine Bright, where the brother.
yeah, but I'm saying like some victims, he would just like see them and be like, "Oh, I want that one," basically. That's what
Yeah, so here we have 25-year-old Nancy Fox. So this is his perfect crime. So he marked her as a potential victim and he began stalking her. On December 8th, 1977, Rader knocked on her door. Nobody answered, so he cut the phone lines because he worked as ADT. So
Yeah.
he was all smart with all that stuff. So he cut the phone lines. He breaks in to wait for her in the kitchen. Fox's murder would be described as what I call perfect, a perfect hit. Oh, yeah, we went over that. She was in control. We already talked about that. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You're doing fantastic. You're doing a great job.
And there was other murders that the children were home as well, and they were able to escape, or they would have been victims too.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy was, I mean, like,
that's a lot, man. It's a lot to take in. I just dropped the link, so if anybody wants to come up and chat, or if anybody has any questions for just Samantha, or if anybody has anything they want to add to it, or anything they know about
also,
you're welcome to click the link and come on up.
I would also be respectful, just try not to, there's not a joking matter, so just.
Yeah, keep it to this subject. I want to stay on this subject and keep it to this.
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys think that the law enforcement, when he confessed to the 10 and they just wrapped it up and threw him away, that you think that they didn't do their job or their due diligence where April 23, they're digging up his yard and finding trophies?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think he also killed other people, and you know what I mean? There's other victims, and he isn't saying anything.
Yeah, because he might be ashamed. He might be worried about getting a death sentence because some states might have the death sentences. We don't know. Who knows?
I wonder what his next move is going to be. Like I said, he's silent right now, but he's just stewing and stirring, and he's going to make contact. That's what he does. He can't help himself. Is it going to be a puzzle? Is it going to be a new code? Like, who knows what he's got up his sleeve?
Well, maybe he's going to try to talk just so he can keep on the news. That's his whole thing. I guess his kryptonite is basically wanting to be on the news and constantly talking. Maybe that's,
Or shut down completely because he did his 10, he confessed, and he wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to be moved to another jail. Like, he's comfortable in his little cave in his wheelchair with the shower and his little contact that he has with the outside world. That's good enough for him. He doesn't want to have to be, he's 79 years old in a wheelchair. He doesn't want to have to go to a brand new facility in another state.
So he says, I'm not willing to make an opinion on that, as we don't know for sure, as that they didn't investigate and came up with nothing, then gave up. I don't know either, but you know what? It's interesting they didn't dig up the rest of the yard. I mean, like, he just took his word for it. I would have not taken his word for it. The guy's a known pathological liar. He's a piece of shit. I wouldn't trust him if he told me the sky was fucking blue. So, just saying.
His daughter said that when she first went to visit him, he lied straight to her face. So they said, like, he can wear many hats: the church leader, the scout camp, the husband, the father, and he compartmentalizes everything. He explains it as like a Rubik's Cube, where he flips it. Green, he's this. Red, he's this. So they prepared her really well to how to handle it. And she goes in and he's crying, profusely. And then they talk and they're bullshitting. And then she's like, okay, Dad, it's time to talk about these murders. And right before it went, there goes her father. She's staring at BTK for the first time.
Yeah. Texans ask, what prison is he in?
He is in the El Dorado Correctional Facility. He is serving 10 consecutive life terms because they did not have the death penalty. So my understanding, it comes out to 175 years is 10 consecutive. That's what I have written down.
Yeah.
El Dorado, not El Dorado. Let me correct myself if I said it wrong.
Okay. Let me one moment. Let me just stop this show. Put in timeout. Good.
And
So-
I said this. What do you think about this, B. Tim? So he's already killed before he has both of his children. BTK. He takes that moniker for himself. His son's name is Brian. His daughter's name is Kerri with the K. You think he did that on purpose?
State that one more time. I was too busy trying to time out a troll in the chat. State that one more time. Sorry.
So he's already committed murders before he has both of his children. The oldest son, Brian, B, okay, B, and then his daughter, Kerri with the K.
Mm-hmm.
So bind, Brian, Kerri, kill. You think he chose those names to remind himself of his moniker?
No clue, but could be. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the guy, to be honest with you, but I don't know. But I mean, this guy is a fucking sicko that lets his kids play with things he used, not only to murder, like it being a murder scene, but also, pleasured himself near or at or on. So could be.
I wonder if he killed more children, and that's why he didn't confess to them, because nobody wants to be known as like a child killer in jail. He's got one on record, but
I think it has to do with maybe he had some. I think if I was to guess, it has to do with something where it's like sex or something like that, because it's all of them. Every single one. Like, I don't know. He has this weird line he has, but I don't know. It could be something like that, but we'll find out. Maybe he's just afraid of getting the death sentence. Maybe he thought, he could release it later and like slow drip it over time, but then forgot that these states have death sentences in them and that he could be fucking brought back. Maybe he realized there was a death sentence in those states and just then said to himself, oh, let me not say anything. I just wanted to spend my time in jail and kind of look at the news about myself. Who knows what's in the minds of these people? It could be anything. It could be simple as just him forgetting. Be like, oh, well, not really. That wouldn't be it, because he remembers everything. So X that one out. But yeah.
Oh shit! Here's 3 Dot Dave.
3 Dot Dave.
You better behave yourself.
Yeah,
3 Dot Dave.
I'm really serious. Just make sure you be respectful, because it's a very serious situation. So I'm just making sure.
What's up, Dave?
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Can I ask you? I need a few questions to answer. So, these murders happened in the 70s and 80s?
Not only in the 70s and 80s, but also the 90s.
it's
Really?
70, 74, 74, 77, 77, 85, 86, 91. He confesses and says that's his last. So that's
in
1974
97,
to
he
91.
confessed and became a suspect, or no?
No. 2005, I believe he was caught.
Yeah, 2005 he was caught.
Yeah. So,
And was that through DNA or through admitting?
the floppy disk basically kind of like fucked him over, and that's how.
And two of the victims did have DNA. The Wegerly had, her murder was something. For 20 years, her husband lived under the shadow of the community, thinking that he was the murderer.
Yeah, he was
I
one of the
couldn't
suspects.
imagine that. But his DNA was underneath the wife's fingernails. He confessed to that one.
Bill, the husband. He was the husband of Vicky, and he was found. He was the one they found her body the day she was murdered. I'm just reading this, and it says here.
That's the one with the children, right?
Yeah.
The kids escaped.
Yeah. Driving down the road in their car, he was questioned and faced with hostile and skeptical police and the public. Suspicion stayed with him for over 18 years. There was nobody ever convicted of her murder until Dennis Rader was put on trial. So yeah, he was a suspect. I mean, because probably they thought, oh, the husband has something to do with the wife's killing, and that's probably a thought. Another suspect was in 1987, was a contractor. In 1987, there was 4 murders that were thought to have been linked to BTK, but after a further investigation, they discovered it was not Dennis Rader who committed those murders.
And were all these victims female?
No, the first 4 was a family, a husband, wife, son, and a daughter. So He was going to attempt to kill Kevin Bright, but he escaped.
That's no, that 74 beats him. So he strangled, bind, torture Catherine Bright.
Yes.
Her brother, Kevin, got shot twice but escaped.
Yeah.
So the victim is Catherine.
Yes, yes, you're correct. So yeah, he doesn't, he will, I mean, my understanding is he just kills anyone in that house. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, he'll get rid of the men first and then he'll take his time, you know, reenacting his fantasies with the women. Like,
so as far as we know, was he a robber?
No, I don't think he just took momentums to remember the crimes. His main goal was to bind, torture, and kill the women so he can get them like in positions that he can fantasize later about when and then reenact them. And that was his goal. He never, you know, so that was his main goal in breaking in. He would lie to them and say, yeah, I'm an escaped prisoner. I need to rob your car and everything. But that was only to give them, just to lie to them to get them tied up so they think they have a way to escape, because obviously they're not going to let some guy tie him up if they said, I'm going to kill you now. And then he would tell them once they were tied up that he was going, what he was going to, you know.
So was he imprisoned in 2004?
2005.
2005. So why exactly are we talking about this right now?
Because, well, I'll let you answer, Samantha.
Okay, because 16-year-old Cynthia Dawn Kinney and 22-year-old Shauna Beth Garber he is now officially on record the prime suspect in these cases. When they dug up his yard, they didn't actually confirm, but they think that the pantyhose could be related to the 16-year-old Kinney. And we went over his journal where he has wash day about a project of watching a girl, and she was kidnapped from a laundromat. He worked for ADT at the time, and in the area, they were doing a security system at a bank. So there's multiple situations that place him in that situation, along with his own journals.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Rihanna's Queen sent file super chat. She said, "Can you ask Samantha, the girl that was M'd and R'd, they have to have DNA. Does it match with BTK's ? That journal entry is so scary." So that's a question to you, Samantha.
So the Shauna Garber, if I think that's the one, she's the one who has been strangled and hogtied. Okay, so this is what I got. Shauna Garber, she was found in McDonald County, Missouri. The autopsy revealed she had been strangled, and hogtied with 6 different types of cords about 2 months before her body was found. And as far as it says, in 2023, authorities announced that Rader was the prime suspect in Shauna's murder due to photographic evidence found in one of his journals, which tied him to the crime scene. This is also the scene where Kerri had the residual effects, where she was throwing up when they took her driving around.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Samantha, I think her question is, did they find DNA and have?
I don't know. I don't know if they've confirmed that or not. That I don't know.
And what year was her murder?
Her body was found December 2nd in 1990.
Oh, okay. So they would have had DNA. So they would have collected DNA in that scene, probably.
Yeah, they haven't put out a lot of information about these 2 recent cases. They're like holding it very close to their chest.
Okay.
And they've only showed the pantyhose.
Yeah, because in the 70s, when I was listening to the detective, he was like, they just collected everything they could. They didn't even have the technology for the DNA back then for what they have today. So that they just stored it type of deal. And Samantha and Marina said, thank you, by the way.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Yeah, thank you. Could I also ask, he's been in jail since 2006?
2005. And he did a full confession.
Yeah, there's a video of him confession.
They called it an Academy Award speech where he thanked the correctional facilities. He talked about the weather, like he just went on, and he detailed every crime in front of all of the victims. And when there was like a presentation played during the trial, and he made sure to correct a couple things that they got wrong on the record. He wanted to make sure that, you know, it was exactly what he had done.
Yeah. Anything else?
So he's been on death row since then?
No, he's not on death row. He's just serving 10 life sentences. So basically, the reason why he might not be wanting to admit to those other murders is because those states, my understanding from Samantha, might have the death sentence, has the death sentence in those states. And if he gets convicted in those states, he's going to go to wherever death sentence they have there, possibly.
Yeah, they said that he was known, he's a firm stance his whole life. He's anti-death penalty.
Yeah, I'm anti fucking serial murderers, but
Yeah, you and me both.
we don't get, if I had my way, we go medieval on his ass. Marina says, Samantha, please start a channel. You're fabulous, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't think I can handle the criticism. I was about to have a panic attack before I started this.
No, what you gotta do is you just gotta a good way to start. I always find like cold cases, like old cases are good. You might not get a lot of attention, but it's good to like get like your feet into it. So you can pull up the documents and a lot of people, and you could basically start. Usually people get into a lot of trouble when they do a lot of true crimes, when they get into newer cases and there's a lot more like theories and speculations that people will push back upon, and it's a little bit, but older cases you could basically look into and to have a discussion, and cold cases and stuff like that, just to get a general idea. That's a good way to start a little bit,
Yeah, I think that this is only going to grow, and once more people start talking about it, and like I said, Kerri's Twitter, Kerri, watching her, she did that interview that I think Queen played a little bit of it on the channel, Surviving the Survivor, and I just couldn't believe, how brave she was talking about all this, knowing what she's dealt with from being suicidal to where she's come today and wanting to get justice for these victims. So that's really what made me want to talk about it,
Yeah, she's doing a great thing, and I think she's really being brave. I mean, I couldn't imagine me being in that position to find out my father was a serial killer and disgusting human being, and then having to the shame of that, and then not only dealing with that, but also going out in the world and trying to make right and try to bring some sort of closure for the families, and trying to give answers to these families, trying to, I think she's doing very good work. I think she's doing, she needs all the applause that she can get, very good person.
Are you talking about the daughter?
Yes, the daughter. Yeah.
She's the only one, her brother and her mother, and the, immediate family, they don't want to have anything to do with it. They want to live quietly in peace.
Which I don't blame them. I mean, if I was, sometimes people just don't want to be involved with that. It takes an extra, you know what I mean? That's why what she's doing is so like extraordinary, that she's actually putting herself out there to try to get some closure for these families.
Yeah, and she's a single mom with 2 kids. She's now officially she's divorced from her husband. All this, she recently in 2005 she just got married, and then this happened.
Oh geez, yeah.
So in 2005, he like declared himself this.
No. What happened is that my understanding. Actually, Samantha, you can explain it again because I think you know a little bit. Yeah, you could explain the floppy disk situation. How he basically wanted. He asked them, "Can you track me down or something with a floppy disk?" And they said, "No, we can't track you down." And then they gave him the floppy. He said a floppy disk with, I'm not sure what was in it. I think Samantha can explain it better than me. And basically, they checked the metadata, and it basically linked him to the metadata had information about the church and his name. And they went there to the church, and they saw the car, and they just put 2 and 2 together, and they started questioning him, and then he started confessing. Is that general gist? I mean, I'm sure you explained.
Yeah, that's basically it. Except, he taunted the police from 1974, and he said, "I'm BTK." He said, "I did the Otero murder. I killed Nancy Fox." So he confessed, and he toyed and played cat and mouse with them. And then he went quiet. And not until the 2004 and 2005 did he come out again and start taunting, and that's how he got caught.
How was he taunting?
Johnson answers your question. He's been communicating secretly with the police and media for years. Like he was just, whenever his story basically died down, he would try
sending in letters.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the letter part.
Here, this one, 3. Dave, in 1978, he sent a letter to the Wichita, Kansas newspaper. He said, "How many people do I have to kill before I get my name in the paper or some national attention?" And signed it to BTK Strangler. He also wrote poems about the victims.
Yeah, he also did when they were doing a 30-year special on him. He came out again, basically, and mainly because they said maybe he stopped killing people because he's too old, and that pretty much got him his ego hurt, and then he started communicating again. So basically, yeah. What'd you say, man?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He's sitting there in his wheelchair, like, I'm not getting my fame.
Well, he was in a wheelchair at the time, but he
Yeah,
definitely
he was
getting old.
59 when he got caught.
He's been in jail since 2005, so he's been in jail for 18 years. So, but yeah, that's him. The picture you see on the screen, that's him when he dressed up as one of his victims to reenact. He would put on a mask and he would bind himself and then take pictures of himself. And I believe someone asked, how did he take a picture? And I think someone answered in the chat that said that did he have like a string where he pulled to take a picture?
Yes.
Like that? Yeah.
He had a Polaroid.
Yeah. So he took the pictures himself by pulling, and that's pretty much it. And he wanted to reenact. Any other questions? Throw it out.
I'm just wondering, did he tell his stories like from the first murder to the last murder, or is that vague?
He confessed in 1974, his first family of four, the Otero family, right after he killed them, he stated that he did it. He's starting to become this BTK and he wants to be known. So then he continues to reach out to the media. In 1977, he kills Nancy Fox. He calls the media the next day and says, you'll find her body at this place and this place. In 78, he sends a poem about the victim named Shirley. They don't realize that it's him, and it goes basically to the trash, we'll say. So, and that's in 78 when I told you he wrote to the newspaper about how many does he have to kill. And then he confesses and claims the murders of the Otero family, Catherine Bright, and Shirley Redford. And he signs his moniker, BTK.
Oh, tattoo, by the way, I'm sorry. I thought I answered your question. The wife is his
Paula.
ex-wife. Yeah, her ex-wife is 75 years old. She's still alive, my understanding.
And he continues to write her till this day, and she's never responded, is what the daughter says.
Yeah, well, I don't blame her. I would not respond to that piece of shit.
Well, she was with him at the beginning?
Yeah, she was his wife.
Yeah.
They got married in I don't know the year. They got married like he killed as soon as they were married, Yeah. He killed before he had his children. He was already killing.
So more than likely she was there for a lot of those murders.
No, no, she was not involved in the murders.
I'm not saying she was involved. I'm just saying she was present.
Well, she was working, and he would take her to work and then he would stalk.
Yeah.
Or he would go to his parents' home and reenact when they were away. No, I don't think the wife knew. And Kerri claims that if her and her family knew anything about this, they would run straight out the door.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, no problem, Tattoo. I thought you might have missed my response. My apologies. I'm a little slow with the chat. Jones says, only the ones he's claimed personally, I believe. These other killings that don't match his MO are him perfecting his skill and figuring out how he wanting to go about the killings. That could be true. That is a possibility. Because it kind of reminds me of like, I'm trying to remember I got to type up the Google name, serial killer. Let me see. I think I have like a file on it. It was a serial killer that actually captured prostitutes and took them in the backwoods of Alaska and hunted them.
That's Israel Keys.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Maybe. Just let me check.
Rowena in chat says 3 Dot has been saying the whole time in chat that family knew. Slap on head. Slap on forehead. I was just going with what it sounded like to me, that maybe this could have been like a murderer that's like fell through the cracks, and now he's so old that he's like trying to get kind of famous and get like book deals and movie deals for his family.
Oh, you can't.
So
you can't.
He's already famous. This is from the 70s.
Outskirts looking in. That wasn't like, you know what I'm saying?
He's already considered like one of the top serial killers. He doesn't need any more fame. Infamy.
The serial killer I was referring to was the butcher of Baker, Alaska, Robert Christian Bose Hansen. That one.
Okay.
Yeah, he basically would pick up prostitutes, get them into his like small little plane, take them to a cabin, assault them, and then let them loose in the woods injured, and then he would hunt them with a gun in the backwoods. And I think, yeah, he did it for a couple. I'm trying to remember how many victims he had, but he had a considerable number of victims. So he was slowly perfecting his way of killing people as well.
That was in Alaska.
Yes, that was Alaska. That was
If you notice, all of his victims are housewives, besides like little Josephine, the children, or they're all like single moms or old ladies, you know. So with the R standard, where he says that he's very proud to do that to any of his victims, there isn't any prostitutes or hookers, almost as if we'll say that was beneath him, not to be disrespectful, but he has this weird kind of like pride within him.
Thank you, Perfectly Imperfect. There's an echo in the background. I don't know if that's 3 Dot. 3 Dot, maybe see if it's you.
3 Dot is clearly not in the serial killers.
No, I'm saying
but you know the bummer is about Alaska is it is so vast.
The echo.
You can get away with anything out there.
No, 3 Dot. 3 Dot.
If you're a creep.
No, I'm not saying you're a serial killer. I'm saying there's an echo in the background. Is that you? Let's see if that's you.
Yeah, it's him.
Okay.
Nope, it's not. He's muted, so it's just Samantha.
I haven't done anything different. Oh, I plugged my phone in. Let me unplug it. Is it gone?
Let's see. I don't think there's a small echo, but yeah, there's an echo.
Your YouTube, and I was telling you earlier, it needs to be paused.
I don't know why I would get an echo all of a sudden.
In the background.
Do you want me to leave?
Drop down. Yeah, drop down. And when you go back to your screen for your YouTube, just pause it and then hit the StreamYard link.
Okay, I can hit the StreamYard link in the chat.
Yeah, it's pinned.
Okay, cool.
All right,
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens. It's okay. No biggie. What's up, Boston? I didn't even see you was back here, bud. What you doing?
What's up, Boston?
Hey, I just got here like a second ago.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't see you back there, so I was trying to. I didn't realize she was the one echoing. I thought it was 3 Dot Dave.
I did too.
Yeah, I mean, we blamed Dave for everything.
I muted him first, and then it was
me.
Yeah, it was his. It was Sam.
Yeah, with the Henson guy, the serial killer, he killed like 17 women. He would hunt. Yeah, it was pretty bad. He might have killed more.
Is he the one that he let him loose in the woods?
Yeah. He called them the Alaskan Butcher or something like that.
Yep.
Oh, look what Beck said. We still don't know who Jack the Ripper was.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories on that one.
Really?
A lot. Yeah.
And that dude's hella weak. Like he only killed like 10 people. You know?
Oh, Dave.
Right? Am I wrong?
What?
That Jack the Ripper only killed like 10 people.
Only?
Well, you know.
Well, like that's kind of small nowadays. You know that becoming that famous over like 10.
Well, he became famous because he never got caught and because he captured. Back then, it was like a big steal in the 1800s. It was like captured. I mean, for instance, you probably never heard of Holmes. Holmes was probably, I mean, but a lot of people know him. Maybe you just don't know like famous, you know.
Sherlock Holmes?
No, the Holmes, the serial killer. H.H. Holmes, he was a serial killer. He would create his whole hotel to basically murder and dispose of corpses.
I've never heard of that guy. I'll look him up later.
Yeah, he's a pretty nasty guy. And then he would sell the remains for money, like the skeletons, to, you know, stuff like that.
Jesus. Was he harvesting?
Well, he would rob them. He would kill them, rob them, and then sell their, like, he would just sell their bones and stuff like that. He's killed a lot of people, actually.
The murder castle, they called it. Jones.
Yeah, that's the murder castle. I gotta type up. Yeah, he had 27 murders.
Jesus.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know that guy. But yeah, it's just
27. You said that's literally an offense and defense of a football team. That's how many people that is.
Well, I mean, because a lot of times they get away with it, these guys, is because they prey on people that are not looked into. And they're just kind of like, oh, who cares? This person's a prostitute, or who cares? This guy's traveling into the city. No one's going to miss him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just how it is.
Who's
And
that
I think
one?
what made Jack the Ripper very famous is because the brutality of the murders were basically, very, very brutal at the time, like extremely brutal. And literally it made a lot of people fright, like in terror of who could be next,
He was
and
killing prostitutes.
yeah, but still, I mean, you didn't know if he was just going to stay there and do that. And
But
also,
that kind of like resonates with you're like messing with the bottom of the barrel.
well, that's what most serial killers do. They pick on the
Right.
easy victims because, that's how it
Yeah.
is. Surgical skills, yes, you're correct. A lot of people suspected either he was a butcher or a surgeon. Because, obviously, they would know, a butcher would know how to cut into someone pretty well, especially back then, and a surgical person.
They prey on people that don't have much family.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody that really cares too much about them, which is horrible, but yeah.
Yeah, but with BTK, it's a lot different. He focused on families, which was unique.
Very different.
Yeah. Is Samantha back? I wonder if she's back. Are you back, Samantha?
The Zodiac killer. A lot of people say it was that reporter trying to create news.
I don't know. I never heard that theory. Maybe I wasn't looking into the Zodiac. I never really looked too much into it. I heard or seen some stuff, but my memory is a little vague on possible suspects they have for that case. It's
like a fireman, like going and creating fires to have work.
Yeah. How you doing, Samantha? Welcome back.
When I X'd out, I seen Wishful Thinking was asking in the chat about where they're looking at now for the new crimes. So they're focusing on in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, in Arkansas, and that's from 1963 to 2005. And Kerri, if you want to go to Kerri Rawson's Twitter page, she has all the latest information about the barns and the silos, which is really what they're trying to focus on, because he had an obsession with those, and they're in a lot of his journals, the sketchings, the drawings.
Does that have to do with his childhood? Because didn't I thought I read somewhere where he used to play with his brother or something like that?
Yes, so he played Cowboys and Indians there as a child, and that's when they would tie each other up when they're with their little kids running around with their little fake guns and stuff, and he realized that it aroused him.
Was that
he was 9? What's that?
Was that like, where was that? Was that like a barn, or what?
Yes, barn. I guess there was a barn or with a silo attached to it next to his property where his childhood home was, because he said that I think he said he was 9. Looking back, he was 9, and that really he got aroused.
So basically, he became sexually confused at that particular time or something like that, and he just basically.
And he tells this crazy story of being a little boy, and his mom was reaching underneath the couch to get her ring, like it slipped off of her finger, and she ends up getting, say, like poked, like how old couches are springs in the 70s?
I remember that.
Yeah, so his mom asked him, Dennis, come help me, and she's squinting in a little bit of pain because she's getting poked, and it turned him on.
So basically, oh, I see. So basically, okay. So he's at the age
about the BTK guy.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, he was confused sexually, and then he
at the age of 9.
Yeah.
He noticed he liked someone seeing someone in pain.
Yeah. And having control over someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, these pics are real. These are real pics from an article. This is an article, so don't just go to accuse us of this is an article. I'll drop the thing in the chat. So it is an article. So
it's on the record. There's 5 bondage photos that are on the record and that recently have all been put out.
And this is him dressed up. So
yes.
It's not the victims. This is him dressed up pretending to be the victims to reenact his sick fantasies over and over again in his head.
And that could be a victim's slip. That can be a victim's blanket. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the one, the red blanket that Kerri talks about when they went camping and he covered her up. He reincorporates the trophies into his family, how he wore Mr. Otero's watch.
Yeah. Well, Whispers is like, you can take it down now. Yeah. Maybe we can take it down, Queen.
So in his stories, did he say that he bound these people?
Did he bound them?
Like bind them? Did he tie them up?
Yeah, bind, torture, kill. That's the whole premise.
Yeah.
So every one of these victims were bound and tortured?
Yes.
Yes. And strangled to death.
Even the children.
Yeah, even the children. And then he would, with the women, he would pleasure himself and near their feet or something like that, or some stuff like that. If you catch my drift.
Horribly disgusting.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a very sick, disgusting. Well, he is a sick and disgusting man, and that's what he did. Yeah. I'm shocked you never heard of this guy. To be honest,
Me too.
with you.
I didn't know BTK. You didn't know what that meant, huh, Dave?
No, not really. I mean, no, not really. Until I think the Brian Laundrie, or the Brian Kober. Yeah. That's where I kind of touched into it, that he was kind of emulating it, using BTK as like his muse, you know. But
Raider said that he's like I didn't want to say I can't say the word, that he's nothing compared to him, that he's he said Rex Heuermann is the perfect clone of him. He spoke very, very highly of him to the media, but when it came to Brian Koberger, he put him down. Like weak, not strong, other words that I can't use.
Yeah.
So if you think about Rex Heuermann and the perfect clone, they're both 59 when they get arrested. They're both married. They both have 2 children, even though Rex is the older as a stepson. And then they've gone away with it for all these years, because look at how long a Long Island serial killer has been going around for. So there is a lot of similarities there. And there is something about in one of Dennis Rader's communications with the newspaper to the police, he told them, call and ask for Rex. And people were going crazy once that, they remembered that. And his daughter says that she doesn't believe that he had any contact with Rex Heuermann, though, that it could just be it's just coincidence.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, I hope they figure out and find these victims, find out, get some closure for these families. And, maybe if we get lucky, they find, evidence that connects them to these murders, and maybe even and they haven't found the bodies, right?
Yeah, with the barn girls, they have they have Shauna Garber's body. They do not have Cynthia Kinney's. Those are the 2 on record that they're really kind of confirming that he's connected to. As far as those barn photos, those 3 victims, one is named. They don't know where her body is. They haven't released her name, and the other 2, that's brand new pictures put out. They're just asking for help. It's not like there's this huge team. This is an Oklahoma sheriff who's going from one crime to the other, basically doing this in his spare time. Kerri is hightailing an investigation, working with her own people, all while being, the single mom raising 2 kids. And that's why they're asking for the public's help. They're hoping that detectives, cold case people will look into the files. If it jogs their memory, like I said, the sheriff was watching a show on Crime Stoppers or whatever it was, Crime Killers, about BTK, and that's how he made the connection to Cynthia Kinney. So that's what they're hoping will happen again.
Oh, wow.
Just sad. It's sad, these people are just not going to get closure, at least, and this piece of shit just wants to keep his mouth shut because he's worried about saving his own fucking skin.
Yeah. As long as my dumbass stays out of it. Yeah, I agree, Perf.
How did we do? I can't see chat. Were they interested? Did we lose them or?
Oh, they're interested. They like you. They like you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, they like you. You're very knowledgeable about this. You're doing a fantastic job, Samantha.
What is your
All right,
YouTube
did you
name
like
in the
do
chat?
a crash course on this for this episode?
What's that?
Did you do a crash course on the case for this episode?
Yeah, I started to watch. I seen that there was the new evidence, and then I watched interviews with his daughter, and it just, like I said, it really struck me about how brave she is and just being a voice for all victims. And then I had to try to get myself, this happened Saturday, I talked to Queen. I had to get myself familiar with 10 murders from the 70s to the 90s that I don't know anything about.
I could be crazy to get. Samantha, wishful thinking. I have a question for Samantha.
Hi, Truth.
Wasn't the BTK MO featured in the movie Silence of the Lamb? This is a question to you, Samantha.
I do not know that answer.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll find it.
Hey,
Sorry.
Samantha. Hey, it's me, Rowena. Thank you so much for doing this. Yes, I'm going to be on your neck about a channel because you do great.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, I also, can I just say, respect for your deep dive, because going into cases like this, really it is kind of like going into a haunt, where you're haunted by the things you see, the things you read, the things you absorb, I'm not a big fan.
I was inspired by his daughter. I'm telling you, it's really powerful. If you watch the Surviving the Survivor interview that she does, and we know what Queen deals with on this YouTube. Imagine what she deals with. She gets trolled every single day. They tear her apart, and she's still putting forward.
Yeah, I get you. I was more resonating on reflecting when you look at a case and you're looking at all the victims and how they died and the specifics on the gruesomeness. It's it's overwhelming sometimes. To have to internalize that in order to regurgitate it.
Well,
it's kind of sad. It's really sad in itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, you try to remember the victims and try to keep them, because at the end of the day, it's try to tell the victim's story, not the killer's story type of deal.
I can't find anything about BTK and Silence of the Lambs coinciding. It's more. They're saying it's just Buffalo Bill. Buffalo.
Okay,
Bill.
Samantha, I'm sorry. Can I ask you a question real quick?
You guys ask me anything.
But it's it's so much. It was so good. It was so much information I was getting. Okay, so he made a deal that they would not tear up the house like they did Rex's house, okay? And he gave them A, B, and C, okay? So they didn't. Now that the things more things are starting to come out and everything, will they go back to that house and rip it apart, or?
So the house is tore down. They it stayed there for 2 years, and in April of this year, there was they put down just like a walking path. I think they might have made it into like a little park area. And in April of this year, they went and they dug it up and they found pantyhose. And the sheriff showed them you can see it on News Nation as like a power play, like he's touching his pantyhose and playing with his trophies. And they were looking for maybe jars with license plates, or driver's license or victims' jewelry. And they have not commented any further on what else they found.
But have they said that they did find other things and they're not releasing at this time, or they didn't find anything?
Yes, in April of this year, they dug up the yard and they found pantyhose that they showed the public.
Anything besides that?
They're not saying.
They're not saying. Okay, that's the only thing I was getting confused on. Okay, well, thank you so much. And can somebody put when you come back down in chat, or can Queen do it? Kerri's Twitter and anywhere we can find her, on different podcasts, who have her featured and stuff, because this is so interesting.
Truth Seeker asks, who's speaking? Is this Rowena?
Rowena,
yes. It is. I'm sorry. It's me.
Rowena.
It's me. So I didn't know if y'all could, if Queen could put it up like somewhere, or a mod could put it up, or what, or you, or whatever. But like her Twitter, and any reputable podcast, that she's been on, that we can go and follow her and be able to discuss this with you more, because I had no idea. This is so interesting.
Yeah, were you familiar when you were younger, growing up? I don't know where you lived.
Well, he, uh, some more when he was caught. You know what I
I
mean?
found the podcast.
Okay.
I
Can you
found the
put it in
podcast.
chat?
I can put it in the back chat, and I'll
Okay.
put it in the chat with
Okay.
Kerri. Just 1 second. I gotta ask Queen before I drop out.
Oh, okay.
I don't want
Thanks.
to drop links in the
Sorry.
thing without Queen's permission, but I put it in the back chat for you.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll toss it to Queen. Maybe she wants to link it. But this looks like an interview. It's the same one that the News Nation did, and this has Kerri. It has Coffindoffer, and has some gentleman with a glass. Who that is? I think maybe the survivor Beast Guides, and it has Kerri Rawson breaks news about her dad's notorious serial killer BTK.
That's the really good interview. That takes you to how we got here now, from her visiting and seeing her father in prison. That is a really good one if you want to watch. And that's a safe place for her, where the guy in the glasses, his name is Joel, and he's friends with her. Koff is like her big sister, she says. So when she does come onto YouTube and into channels and chats, there's ones that like she can be herself. She wants to be Kerri, and she doesn't want to she just wants to mingle and chat with everybody. So there is safe places that she does come to.
Good. And I mean, I would love to support her doing this. Where she gets the strength, I'm sure, has come from an unimaginable number of hours of therapy. But with therapy, you have to do the work yourself. And so it's not just a therapist that's helping her through it. You also have to do the work in therapy yourself. And I mean, I would just love to support her, because anybody that can, she was a victim, and anybody that can stand up for other victims and overcome, it's just unimaginable to me.
Are you talking
Yeah,
about
she doesn't have to do this.
Yeah, she doesn't, and that takes just an unimaginable amount of courage. But no, I didn't really know about BTK until BTK was caught, and then everything kind of came out. I was more of a, like, I remember the Son of Sam, being, when Son of Sam was around, that's when I was kind of old enough. I really didn't understand, but I was kind of old enough to know this is, really, really bad. And, when he was caught, and so I was kind of more of that. But when BTK was caught, that's when I really, thought it was, but I didn't, I wasn't any fear. I wasn't any fear of serious Son of Sam. I just remember that one more. But thank you so much for doing this. This was so good. And who are you going to do? Now I know you're going to keep up with this, but who else are you looking at to really look into?
As far as other cases?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I follow the Koberger case. I follow the Rex Heuermann case. This just happened, just like I said, Saturday.
She's in Discord. She came to me in Discord. She's like, "Hey, do you mind if I put stuff, about the BTK killer and stuff?" I was like, "I'll go make a room for you real quick. How about that? Like, you can just drop anything, any information. Anybody can come in there. Anybody can go in there and drop information, whatever. I'll just make a room for you." She went to town. And then
I've been in there.
Like,
it's great.
I was like, "Well, whenever you're ready, baby, whenever you're ready." And I haven't had time, you know what I mean? So now, and any subscriber that comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm interested in this case and I have this information. Can I come on and talk about it?" Girl, get your ass up here. Come on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to support the daughter, I just want to support the daughter.
And I think that's awesome, because she definitely needs it,
Yeah.
Is this guy 100% now BTK?
Yes.
Yes, he
100%. All right.
Yes. This is just new stuff coming out. Yeah.
Joneson was up here, and now she's gone.
Yeah, I just texted her, "Get your serial killer professional butt up here."
Just Samantha, I have a question. Do you think it's like too much a little for Kerri? Like, I feel like she's starting to be like a little like.
I did I asked her
Unhinged
that too.
a bit. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't ask her on here, but I asked her. I was like, "Do you think she's gonna get like it might be a little too much with her trauma and stuff?" But then I was like, I said I don't think that as like father daughter, I don't think he's ever going to tell her everything because he's not going to want to look like a fucking monster and absolute, horrific monster to his.
Too late for that.
Not, I mean, he already does, but I'm just saying, like, I don't see him telling her all the intricate details of everything.
It's not even that. I watch Surviving the Survivor a lot, and she's been on there like a bunch, like during like talking about Rex Harriman and all of that. And she just seems like lately, since this new stuff has come out, that it's just like it's probably like a lot for her. I know that she's like in therapy for it, and she's like even said that she's been like re-traumatized, I think, by the new stuff that's coming out, because she has to like remember, right, some of the things to help them. So they're using like her memory, which has to be traumatic.
Yeah, she said she might get hypnotized.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I can't believe she hasn't already, with all of this.
Yeah.
I think she has a really good team. I think she has a good team of support around her. I think from 2018 to 2023, that she's probably done the work and the therapy, and she speaks about that a lot. And I've seen her in some other chats where she just kind of bullshits. And she said how she was like locked in the closet, just decompressing, and she had to shut down. And she set her boundaries. She tells a story where like one of the big media companies, they contacted her and they're like, "We need you now. Can you do like, hair and makeup, and let's get you on TV?" And she's like, I can't do hair and makeup. I'm not ready for that. And they kind of like hounded her. So she ended up blocking their number. So that shows you,
that she wasn't about. Yeah.
That she does have her boundaries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious about when he got taken into custody, right? How old was she?
She was 26 years old.
And do we know when the mom took off, or
no, they were married. His family was still intact. He had a wife and he had 2 kids. Well, the son was in the Air Force at the time, and she was 26 and she just recently got married.
Yeah, and he was the president of a church.
Yeah, he was the president of his church, Boy Scout leader. He did the census. He was really like, yeah, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
He was just
he was a regular dad.
That's
camouflage. He was camouflaged up, basically. No, in the world.
Crazy.
Yeah, like he was living 2 lives.
He was a law-abiding citizen at that point, like he pretended to be. Anyways, he was he was camouflaged.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretending. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
Thank you for letting me hop up, Queen. Thank you, Samantha. BTM, say my name.
Always love you, Rowena.
Good night, Rowena.
Rowena.
No, BTM, say my name.
I know it was me.
I know. All right, thanks, y'all, and thanks, Samantha, for doing all this hard work. I really appreciate it. I didn't know what all those pictures were until I was like, "What is this? Hey, what twisted mind drew this up?" But I didn't know the new comings out of everything. So,
Rowena, do you have a channel?
No, hell no.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, I would sub that shit.
I know you throw the hell out of me, but I'd give it right back, boo boo.
I got a quick question. Do you know anything about the new tunnels or holes that they just found in his backyard?
I don't know what you're talking about, Queen. I've been in my notes all day, and in between getting when you said tunnels
before. Let me pull it up real quick. It was just on that news thing. Hold on, let me go.
Like they dug the yard, but I don't know anything about a tunnel.
You've forgotten.
Yeah, they dug the yard. That's what they said. They found some hole or something back there, or tunnel, or like a hole to a tunnel or something. Hold on, let me go grab it.
Let me see. I know Mysterious Chick. He's like a dog who he just wants attention, just like dogs. He's annoying about.
Wait, it's not a tunnel. It's a hide hole.
Hide hole, yeah.
Hidey holes is what he referred to as his little stash spots.
Yeah, that's hard.
Is that where they found the pantyhose or something recently?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Do you listen?
I've got a hidey hole.
Do you guys watch Surviving the Survivor? It's such a good, like they
Well,
are so
I
good with
put
it.
in the back. I put in the back chat for, and I put in the chat for people. I didn't
It's
know
such,
about it,
they're
but I
great.
watched it. Yeah.
It's like a panel, and it's like all different kinds of guests they have on, and she's on there a bunch, and like Jennifer,
Yeah.
you know, and Joel is really great. He's the host.
Yeah, I seen Jennifer Koffenackel, whatever. her
Yeah,
name
I think she dyed
is.
her hair. A different
Yeah, you know my opinion about her. She's a bit of a wild card.
I know, but she's like, her and like Kerri, they're supposedly close, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, and did you know that she grew up not too far from Wichita?
Oh, coffin
And
dropper?
she,
Oh.
yeah, and she went to Wichita State University for criminal justice, as well
interesting.
as Dennis Rader. They weren't in like the
Oh.
same class or anything, but yeah, she grew up in the neighborhood.
Oh wow. Huh.
All right, I'm going to play this real quick. And it says right here, hold on. Let me read the title to you real quick. Because it says on here, police discover hiding hole at BTK serial killer's former home. This is what they found.
BTK, a name he gave himself, short for bind, torture, kill. He is currently serving life sentences in a maximum security facility in Kansas. And now there is new evidence that may connect the infamous BTK serial killer to additional murders. Arjun Casares spoke to the killer's daughter and got exclusive access to some of his diary entries and drawings.
She was a very full of life, typical teenager.
This is Cynthia Dawn Kinney, a 16-year-old cheerleader who vanished from an Oklahoma laundromat in 1976. The self-proclaimed BTK serial killer is now the prime suspect in her case and several other unsolved homicides spanning 3 states. It was parts of this journal belonging to BTK, real name Dennis Rader, shared exclusively with CNN, that prompted law enforcement in Oklahoma to act. Shortly after Kenny's disappearance, the sheriff's office received an anonymous call.
That male caller informed them that she was located in an old barn.
No evidence that lead was ever looked into. Her body was never found. But authorities are now looking at this journal entry by Rader. Bad wash day.
He marked that in 1976, he had murdered someone from a laundromat.
For the first time, law enforcement is revealing detailed drawings made by Rader, showing young girls tied and bound in barns.
Our hope was to get these drawings out in hopes that someone will recognize these barns.
As investigators comb through Rader's old files for clues that could link him to Kinney's murder and several others, an unexpected volunteer stepped forward. His daughter, Kerri Rawson.
If he's innocent on these, I will defend him. If he is guilty, I will nail him to the wall.
Working with authorities, Rawson.
And I think that's only fair too. You know what I mean? If he's guilty, nail his ass to the wall, which he is anyways. But
Visited her father in prison for the first time in 18 years.
He's in a wheelchair. He has no teeth left. And he went from this like vivacious man that was hiking with me right before he was arrested to like an elderly man.
Did he confess to you?
No, he did not.
Rader has been in prison since 2005 after pleading guilty to 10 counts of murder. He has not confessed to any additional crimes. But just last week, authorities heard this during one of his prison calls.
He said there might still be some things in some old barns.
This new investigation led authorities to dig up the area around Rader's former family home just last week in Kansas. The result, more potential evidence discovered, a well-constructed hiding hole.
What did you find in the hole that you can tell us?
Personal type items. You know, we found items that could have been used for binding people. We found some different remains from materials, you know, carpet fibers.
John, I was also told that in that hole, they found what are called trophies, items that definitely belong, they say, to females. Now, the next step is that all of these items need to be forensically tested. They need to see if there's any relevancy to these brand new items just discovered to these unsolved cases. This hole was just found last week, John, because of Osage.
Yeah, so
Just last week.
Yeah, this news report was when?
let me go back and look. Hold on.
Damn. When was the last time BTK committed? That's what, like 30 years ago? Longer?
Yeah.
No, yeah, his last
80s.
fix. No, it wasn't the 80s. Actually, it was
1991 is his last
2004.
confirmed.
1991 was his last one he confessed to, but he was caught in 2000.
4 days ago. 4 days ago. Was that the one we just listened to? Was from 4 days
Yeah,
ago.
everything we talked about with the barn girls, those photos, this is all, it's all really brand new.
It's all new. Yeah, it's all new stuff.
It's news because they excavated the property and found mementos and evidence about all these crimes.
Yeah, and they said that how the sheriff, like there's a clip where he picks up the pantyhose and they say that that'll drive him nuts when he sees it. The detective or the sheriff like touching his prized possession and playing around with him. It's a power play.
It's like it's like a pirate and his treasure. You know what I mean? It's, just, it's
But
weird.
this excavation was on actually their property, the home property.
Yes.
Yes.
They never dug it back in 2005.
They took his word for it. He said, "Oh, well, I only have three spots," because basically they were like, "Oh, we'll protect your family," just like how Samantha was explaining earlier, and everything. Just tell us where the, any information. And he said, "These 3 spots you should dig up, and you can find the stuff." And they took his word for it, and they never dug up everything else.
Ridiculous.
They never cataloged all of the journals, all of the photographs. It's like they just wrapped it up in a cardboard box, put some tape on it, into the basement. It went, and there it sat for 30 years.
He probably did that on purpose. He might have just thought the cops would close the case immediately upon confessing, and they wouldn't look into it more of the other cases if he immediately confessed, and then basically just kind of played it off and just had those 10 deaths. Maybe that was his whole game all along. And he was hoping to just kind of outlive the other crimes that he might have committed, that he might have been ashamed of. Maybe they would never find it, or maybe like he just outlived maybe those situations.
Whispers, from my understanding, I think they dug the yard because it was getting like excavated. It was right.
They, when the sheriff of Osage County made the connection to the disappearance of 16-year-old Cynthia Kinney, what we just watched about, that's what made them go and dig up the yard.
Yeah.
And they found all this stuff. Unbelievable that they just gave him a pass like that. Just look here, here, and here. Don't look, don't look.
Well, I mean, I think they probably. I mean, I don't think they gave him a pass. I just think probably they thought that was all. Yeah. I think they basically closed the case. They thought it was solved. They thought they got everything, and they just kind of moved on. Just happens,
And again, that sheriff, he was sitting there watching a true crime show on him, and that's what got this rolling because it sparked his memory.
I did not know that part.
He was watching. I have it. I'm smoking, so I'm not in front of my papers. But it was like a show on serial killers that was featuring BTK, and it reminded him of the Cynthia Kinney case. And he thought, and now we're at 2 for sure prime suspect. 3 more possibilities, and God knows what else.
Wow. Hey, I guess someone can change things on this platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to just say, this is kind of what I was earlier in the chat where I was like getting attacked for bringing up that the family could be involved. Not involved as in a part of it, but involved as in knowing. It's like you have like a child molester in your family and you don't like admit it, but you know it. I'm just putting that out there that freaking, when he got caught, the daughter was what, 26, right? You have to imagine that him as a person, you have to like see like
Bro, have you ever
clues.
heard
There
of
have
the
to be
guy?
clues.
Boy Scout
Don't
leader.
you
He
think
was
there's
a normal
clues?
dude.
No, man, it happens all the time. Like, look at the Iceman. He was married, he had kids. The Iceman was a prolific serial killer who used was a hitman for the mafia.
When they knocked on Kerri's door, the FBI, and they said that they had to talk to her about BTK, she said, "Is my grandma okay?" Because she knew that he killed older women. That was her first concern. She thought whoever BTK was might have murdered her grandma. She had no idea they're going to be like, "It's your father."
Yeah, I mean, like,
I
you
get
know
the
how
whole double life thing. You know,
have you ever heard the Iceman, Richard Kalinsky?
I have.
Yeah, he was convicted of 5 murders, but he says he was responsible for 200. I mean, he was married. He had a kid. He was like literally no one knew anything. And what he did was usually killed all his friends. He only left one friend alive, and that's how he got caught. But point is that you can live a double life. They do that all the time. It's just compartmentized.
well, Lori says 3 dot. That's victim shaming. Please stop. I'm not. I don't feel like the family is really. I don't know. There's a lot of victims out there. They're just gone, right? And I feel like it's possible. I'm just saying there's a possibility that there was clues and the ignorance of the family provided.
Yeah,
the
but I don't
structure for it.
I don't think anybody wants
You
to put
know?
that out there because that hasn't been proven in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
No, it's a theory. They freaking.
Well, I mean, I think unfortunately a lot of people think like that, and I don't agree with that thought process because that's why a lot of people were attacking that family. I think they basically were ignorant of all the facts that were going on. This guy lived a double life, and I mean, there's small things, sure, but there's no way you can know about this shit. I mean, come on. I mean,
He's the church president.
yeah, like he's the church president,
right?
scout leader. I mean, this guy is a master at hiding his life.
Somebody had to ignore something along the lines. That's what I think.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
He said he was a man who wore many hats, and he was great at compartmentalizing it. Compared himself to a Rubik's Cube. He's a cube. He flips. He bees who he wants to be in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, that's how these kind of killers work.
He's a psychopath.
I mean,
I feel like that a lot of these killers get by because people ignore shit.
No,
it's like say something, see something, say something. But I feel like that probably didn't happen for him.
The Henson serial killer had a wife too, and he used to go and he killed 17 prostitutes, and he used to and like literally. I mean, the family had no clue about that. It's just how it is. You could get
you can't prove it because they won't admit it.
No, that's not true.
Well, the FBI said, and every investigation source that looked at the case was pretty confirmed that the family had no knowledge, and that's on record.
Yeah, they go through the family probably, and they checked, and it had nothing to do with it.
He was out on his property burying bodies and shit.
He wasn't
There's no bodies found on his property.
Yeah, Dave, you got to know what you're talking about. It wasn't bodies.
It was like momentums, like ropes or trophies or stuff like that.
Hey, 3 dot. Hey, Dave.
Well, that's
hey, Dave.
If it wasn't bodies, maybe they haven't found them yet.
Okay, Dave, I've got a question. Don't dox yourself. I'm not asking you to dox yourself. It ain't that deep. Have there been any killings or K's or M's in your community, city, state? Have there been any around you?
Me?
Yeah.
Has there been any killings in my state?
Mm-hmm.
Any murders?
Yeah, probably billions.
Because the whole chat's telling you really need to
California.
fucking stop.
Okay. So there have been murders.
I don't know what you're doing, but you better cut the fuck out.
There have been. Have you looked at your family? Have you looked at your family related to those? Have you looked at your family?
Yes, they were all involved.
Okay,
Dave, come on.
Okay. Do you see the analogy? Do you see it? Don't blame.
No, I'm just talking about like if it was my dad, right? Okay, let's just like hypothetically, if my dad was the BTK killer, and I was like living with him, right? I would have a sense that that guy is the biggest creep in the world.
Okay,
you don't know that.
I'm just saying I would. That's just me.
Dave, please, just don't. Okay, just
don't.
Dude, if I had a murderer in my house,
just read the room.
and I lived with them every day.
Dear God, you know what? Go get a job with the FBI. Go get a job. They need you.
Well,
They need
I
another
would have
big
to be like
man.
They
FBI
would
in order
not
to have
hire
like
fucking
a.
3-dot goddamn Dave.
You just want the negative $75
All right, I'll
Dave.
be quiet. I'll be quiet. You don't gotta like mute me or anything. I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want me to? Do I need to mute and boot or what?
I got you, Queen. I got you.
I'm a hot down queen.
Hold on, I don't
Thank you,
even know if
dear.
this is Gina.
Yeah.
Let me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
What's
it's
up?
me.
What's up, Gina?
I'm a hot
I
down
just
babe.
had a
All right,
Bye,
baby.
Ro.
I'll see you here in a little bit, Rowena. Thank you for coming
bye,
up,
bye.
love. All right, baby.
Yeah, you got to be quicker with that back.
Yeah, I gotta
thing.
start. I know I need to start pulling it up. What's
need
up,
to.
Gina?
I just have a suggestion, and you don't gotta do it, but it might make everybody happy. Would everybody be happy if maybe he doesn't come on panel for true crime stuff, but just like regular drama?
Like
That
for
way,
goofing around.
yeah, because
But I was here actually like as an
true
observer,
crime is
like
something
absorbing,
you really have to be serious
commenting.
about.
You
I am
started off
serious.
good. You're
I feel
asking
like, dude,
the real
I thought I
question.
was bringing up great points because, like, you know, families should know if there is a murderer
Well, yeah, you
in their
start off
house.
good, but
you
then
know?
here I
That's
fucking
what I
get up
thought.
and walk out of the damn room for fucking 5 minutes, and I come back to the whole entire chat telling you to knock it off and to stop and to cut it out, and rowing is
And
coming
to
up,
kick ya.
is coming up, and
We love you long time.
T-Dot, just read the room, man.
There was people that
Brave,
were
brave,
murdered.
have a good night,
Brave.
buddy. I'm not gonna do this. Anyhow,
Yeah.
go ahead, Samantha. We're not
I
about
was
to ruin
just
your
trying
show
to
because you've been doing great, so we're not
Yeah,
gonna
you're
deal
doing
with that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
gonna
that's
say,
what it was about. Her bravery. You know, we don't. I don't want
Yeah,
to victim
for
shame
sure.
her. She deals with enough of that.
yeah. Let me
For
explain
sure.
this to you, Dot 3-Dot. There are people who were brutally murdered. Their lives, they were children. You got to be
Their families.
respectful to the victims. I say, like, whenever you do true crime, whenever I do a true crime case, I always keep a picture of the victims in the side. So whenever I get to look at them a little bit, and please do that because that will sober you up to the fact that there are people who are deceased. No matter if it was 100 years ago, 30 years ago, these people had lives and they deserve respect. And you got to be respected. And also the family, they deserve, you know, they're innocent until proven guilty and they haven't done anything. They're victims as well. They've unfortunately were born into, they were married and were born into a bad situation and they're victims.
They didn't have this choice.
And they don't deserve to be pariahs. And the daughter's trying to do the brave thing and go out there and put herself out there. And you got to be respectful.
Yeah,
So,
she's doing good. And Samantha, you did great. I think you did amazing. And I am so proud. Like, I'm so proud of you for putting in all this work, man. You did a lot
Oh,
of fucking
yeah.
hard work. So I just want to
Thank
say
you.
that you did an amazing job. And I
You're
appreciate
good
I
at
feel
it.
bad. I can't see the chat if, like, you know, because I made sure that I tried to be over prepared, and I can't see the chat or I'll get kicked. So I can't
They're
answer
loving it. They're
questions.
loving
You
it.
know.
Everybody loves it, hun. You did
Yeah,
great.
everybody did. But you should be able to, if you pull your phone back away from your, like, if you have, are you talking on speakerphone or is it like, are you on
Yeah.
StreamYard for your? So there should be a button on your StreamYard that says chat right up at the top.
Yeah, I'm too scared, girl. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Well,
Does it say
if
chat or
leaves,
does
you
it
can
say
just come back up,
comment?
but it's a way to learn. Yeah, because you'll be able to see the chat as you're talking to us.
And if it boots you, you can come right back up.
Yep.
I do want to say for 3-Dot, as far as the wife is concerned, she filed for divorce immediately. It's something called an emergency divorce situation. I guess when something like this happens, I mean, she was basically divorced within 24 hours of this man, and he continues to write her till this day, and she has never responded.
Wow.
So that says a lot for the wife. And the wife and the brother, none of the family speaks. Kerri's out here doing this on her own. And who knows if her family, maybe her mom and her brother wish she would be quiet. And she's not, you know?
Yeah.
So we don't even know if she has her family support. Like, they'd probably rather her shut up if you think about it, right?
Yeah, because they probably just want this to be done and over with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she's steamrolling this whole thing all by herself. Well, and with the help of Osage County.
Well, and with him being, locked away for 10 years already, they're probably, wondering, they may be upset. Who knows? We don't know. She might have their full support, but she may have no support.
Yeah, she won't speak about them. If it comes up in the chats, she's respecting her family's privacy and she's leaving it at that.
That's good. That's good.
It's been what, 11 years since you've been arrested?
18.
18. Okay, 18. That's still got to be raw. You know what I mean? I don't
And
think I ever.
she's seen him twice. So as far as I know, on record, she stated she's been to the prison twice and for 3 hours each time.
Gotcha. You're really good at this. I think you should.
She is. She's really passionate about it. I love it.
Yeah.
I just try to get prepared,
Well, you did great. You did great. Very, very informative. And the chat said you did great. They've all given you like thumbs up, telling you did great. You did a great job. Here, Denise said you did awesome. Fur Baby says you did awesome, Samantha. Cashmere says you did awesome. You're really good at this. Great job. Lunch Lady said, good job, Samantha. Samantha, you are awesome. Mystic.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you got a lot of compliments in the chat. They're like really, you can always go back and read the chat too when we're done.
And now that like the Hive is prepared, because I'm sure that this is only going to get bigger. The more that the investigation grows, the more that they tell the media and the public. So we're all like one step ahead. We know exactly up to date what's going on.
Alpha donated 5. Queen, she says, great job, Samantha.
Good job, baby. There you go.
Yeah.
Another compliment.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you did really good. I'm very impressed too that you took that you did all that research and did it quick and you were serious about it, because I've had a lot of people come to me and say, hey, I want to talk about this. I want to do this. I want, what about this, and then they just shut down and they don't. So I'm so proud of you for coming up here, staying on panel, even though you were super nervous. You were very prepared and very informative. And I learned a lot. So thank you very, very much. And thank you for taking it serious.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to come on panel and to share with everybody.
You kicked ass. I think Tim takes some notes.
I had to take notes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Take notes.
It's confusing because there's so much information of, between the 74 and the 91 and in between until he's caught. And then what's happening now, it's just, there's a lot, going on.
Oh, by the way, Queen, Slim Jim donated 5 memberships, by the way, Queen.
For the latest and the greatest, if anybody has Twitter, Kerri Rawson, go to her Twitter or just type in her name in the chat and you'll see where she's comfortable in the little interviews that she does. Because she does pop up on some channels.
Does she?
Yeah, there's one channel that she calls her safe place, and I just happened to be in it, and there's like 200 people in there, and she was it's almost like her dad with the cube. Okay, so she's BTK's daughter, and she's focused, and she's talking about the cases, and then she flips, and then we get Kerri, and she gets to joke, and she gets to laugh.
Well, you know what? Everyone is multifaceted. Like no one's just a complete. Just one character, like a 2D model. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like they can't imagine like BTK being a loving father or a churchgoer. It's like, no, you just put on a mask. Just like how he put on a mask when he was pretending reenacting. You just put on a mask when you go into certain scenarios and you just learn. You look at other people, you see how they react, and you copy them. And that's what you usually do, especially if you're thinking like that. You look, let's say you stare at a group of people, and you say, oh, this is how people react. Oh, this is how people react in this situation. And you like kind of read people, and that's probably what he did. And probably was very good at masking in different scenarios, So that's how a lot of killers are with families and stuff like that. I mean, they're not just 2-dimensional characters, they're multifaceted. You could be the biggest, evilest person in the world and be a loving father at the end, and then no one has a clue. I mean, a good example is the mafia. A lot of times, like some kids were like, I don't know, my father was a hitman for the so-and-so family, because it was like, okay, well, I go out and murder someone and I come back and I have.
They don't talk about that at home.
Yeah.
So, Samantha, did you enjoy doing it as well?
Yeah, I was excited. I was just, really, really nervous. But like I said, my whole thing was about Kerri and showing her the support after watching the interviews and a couple of the videos to see her strength. I think that any victim of any type of trauma in their own life, if you actually sit down and you listen to her, her strength is going to rub off on you, and you're going to feel some type of power. And then if you are a victim and you haven't spoken out, she's going to might help you. Could be inspiring other victims to come
True.
forward.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to me.
Well, that's why it's very important that we don't lay blame on families like that in situations, because if they clam up and they go into hiding, then the authorities will not get the help they need to try to get closure for other families who they might not be looking into, and that's the very important situation.
It would be hurtful to a case, not the opposite.
Yeah.
Do you have the channel, Samantha?
No.
Yeah, I dropped it in the chat, in the back chat a while ago. Here, no, she doesn't have a channel. No, she doesn't have a channel. I thought you were talking about the.
Well, I think you would do really good if you ever decided to have one.
Mm-hmm.
You're good at breaking it down, telling the story.
I'm good at the hide for now, but thank you, Gina.
And you're very empathetic about it.
She's going to take some training. She's going to have to come up here a couple of more times for any more true crime cases. Maybe that'd be cool. Let me see. Gary Ridgway was a good husband.
Can I ask one more question? How long did it take you to do all that research?
She's Boston's asking you a question, just Samantha.
Oh, I think
she's not answering. Are you muted,
Samantha?
She might have got a phone call, because when you get a phone call on your phone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be. Let me see exactly. I can't with family victim shaming, especially when it is her daughter is so. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think we have to be very careful when we, because unfortunately there are people that think like that, and it's not productive because, I mean, they could just basically, close themselves up and they won't help. And I'm guarantee you this daughter is helping the authorities in a lot of ways. And we need to encourage people like that and kind of be supportive of them, because they're also victims of, they're victims too.
What's up, STS Nation, and welcome.
Do we have a timestamp, baby?
This is a 2 hours time stream. I'm just saying, that was a recommendation. That was the live stream.
Oh, okay, yeah. We ain't watching all this.
I
I'm
was
just asking if there was a timestamp to listen to you or whatever. So I thought there was a timestamp up here. I wasn't sure if there was something specific you wanted to
I was
to.
just putting it there because someone said, people wanted to know what live stream she was on for an interview, and I put it in the back chat for people to, and I dropped it in the chat for people to jump and watch it later to maybe get a better perspective of her.
Hey, Cappy.
What's up, Cappy? Good evening, everyone. Welcome stream. Please don't forget. Okay.
Did you find the chat, Samantha?
No, I don't know what happened. I got kicked. No.
Oh,
you weren't kicked. You were probably just muted. Probably.
Oh, I had a question. How long did it take you to do all that research? You know what I mean? All that.
Saturday I started.
I was gonna say, 2, 3 days, 4 days, something like that. You ain't been doing
What's
it
today? Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're somebody I would enjoy watching.
My memory is pretty decent, and like I said, I over prepared myself.
Decliner.
Let me see if there's an actual part. Maybe but yeah, that was a pretty good podcast for the ones who
Is that Jennifer Coffendorfer in the bottom right hand corner?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's her.
Yes, that's Jennifer Coffendorfer. Whatever her name.
The other lady, she goes by the name Mac, and she's in true crime, and I'm pretty sure she's like a producer or has some kind of involvement in. I don't know if you guys seen Mindhunters on Netflix. So it was about BTK, a couple serial killers, and she was involved in that.
Wow.
Yeah, go to 45 minutes and 43 seconds. That's the blanket part. The family we used the blanket to camp. That's the same one.
Now
So-
here's where it gets really interesting. Dad reincorporated crime scene victims' blankets and materials back into my family, and we used that blanket to camp out. I slept on a blanket that my dad possibly murdered a woman on and jacked off on.
Wow.
I'm going to let Mac talk, and then I'll go back for the prison thing.
Guys, just think about that for 1 second. What Kerri just said. I won't say it the same way she did, but her family used a blanket that her dad used to kill people with. And here she is talking about it. 99.9999% of people would never do that. So,
You see how she said she was going to let Mac talk? So right there, she's taking a mental break from what she just told everybody. Now she's done. She has to take a breather. You know, that's where her therapy comes into play. And you'll see that like when you watch her a couple times. Now, this is the third time Joel, the guy in the glasses, has asked her. He wants to know a lot about that first visit, seeing her father. And she's put it off, and put it off. So she is protecting herself to some degree. You can tell.
Wow. It's crazy, but it's an interesting one. Like definitely someone should. You can watch the whole thing. It's like 2 hours, and I didn't even know this was available until today. So I'll probably watch it later. Probably tomorrow because I'll be sleeping. You know, skedaddling to sleep. You know how it is. But anyway, she deserves a total support. Absolutely.
Yeah, you did really good. I got to get off here soon. We've been on here about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But I got to get up at 5:30, and it's tired, and it's almost 10 here. So I know it's like 11 where you guys are at.
Yeah.
10:42.
Well, it was good talking to you guys. Good talking to you, Gina. Good talking to Boston.
Thank
good
you,
talking to
Samantha.
Samantha and Queen.
Thank you.
Again, you did great, and I'm super impressed. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I'm pretty sure my boyfriend is annoyed. He's like, "Where have you been for the last hour?" So I'm glad you're kind of ending it.
Yeah, don't worry. Well, you guys have a good one night.
You did your first panel with the case, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, I fed him a pizza, and I told him, I prepared him. I said, I'm going to be busy. Like, just let me do this. So thank you, Queen.
Yes, absolutely. And again, like I said, you did really, really, you did an amazing job. So thank you so much for coming up and sharing all that knowledge.
You got it. Thank you for chat, and we'll
keep up with it too. We'll keep up with it. So if you keep up with it too, like we can always do like an updated stream or something in a week or two, or if something else breaks in the case or something goes on, we will keep everybody updated too, or you can let me know.
Yeah, you got it. And we'll see everybody tomorrow in the Hive. Everybody have a good night.
Later, baby.
All right, bye-bye.
Yes, she did an amazing job, didn't she, you guys? She was amazing. She came to me and said something about she wanted to cover this case, and did I know much about it? And I said, no, I don't really know much about it, and I don't have a lot of time to look into it. But if you have time, and it's something that you're passionate about or something that you want to look into, just let me know, and we'll set up a live stream anytime. Anybody's welcome. Any subscriber that wants to come up and talk about something or wants to share details of a case or something that interests them, like anytime. This is an open panel, anytime, legit, anytime. This is really awesome. And I learned a lot tonight. So I'm very grateful for her. And I'm grateful for her knowledge and her research because she put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. So I appreciate you guys showing her support too. So anyhow, have a good night, you guys. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you on the flip side. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Good night, y'all.